Go live.
Oh, we get 6 seconds late. Welcome to it, sports fans. It is the MKT Show. It's Monday. Fired up. James says he feels phenomenal. I feel phenomenal. I've had a good weekend. Being the brave COVID survivor I am, of course. Once again, people calling me a hero, a great man. A lot of people don't get why I'm saying, when are people going to say thank you for your service? Because I've had COVID, and I do see myself as a hero. And if you don't, I'm not sure why. Super fired up today. Had a good morning, had a good weekend. I'm starting to feel human again. It's been interesting since COVID, and maybe it was mental, But this weekend, I got to say, I was out there doing a James sort of middle-aged woman kind of walk, and I was out there just rotating the hips, as you know, if you're into power walking. And sort of getting in the, I think they call it getting in the mill or whatever. There's a technique that they use. So I was kind of getting into it and feeling really, really good. So feeling good. That's what I got to say. I hope you're feeling good at home. The MKT Show on the 28th of June, 2021. Big moment for me this weekend. I'm not sure if people have had this recently, but I don't know if you've ever had a card expire. It happened to me. it was classic. My card expired. I had to chop it up. And that was an ugly situation for everyone. I didn't like it. I didn't like one part of it, any bit of it. But it was a bit of a schlep. But I can't imagine what people did back in the day when their cards expired. That was an entire situation. Oh, I'm not alone today in terms of living what the kids call my best life. A man who he refuses to admit it. He has called his mom lazy. He doesn't want his mom enjoying retirement, semi-retirement. She's still working, walking on the beach, sort of indulging in the fruits of her proverbial labor. No, or literal labor. I mean, she did work for 25 years in the corporate world, having her soul crushed in an office somewhere to deliver. But he's just like, hey, I want to be happy. It doesn't really matter who you are. I don't care about your happiness. I care about my own. A man who's had a great haircut, looking on fleek. Not sure what he's doing, but the hair's looking unbelievable this morning. James Jimbo Illingsley. Jimbo, what's going on, pal?
Hi. How you doing?
Oh, man. Fired up.
Good.
How you doing?
Great. Monday. So that's a thing.
Are you one of those people like, guys, I've just got the Monday blues? Are you one of those people?
I used to be. Not so much anymore. I'm actually... I've said before that doing this job doesn't feel like a job. So like all of my days just kind of mesh into one, and sometimes I forget that it's Tuesday when it feels like it's a Friday or whatever it is.
So inspirational, James. So you know, if you do what you love, you'll never work a day in your life. I'm telling you.
Do what
Follow
you love.
your passion.
Do what you love and love what you do.
That's the classic
There
one.
you go.
That is the classic one from everyone.
Yeah. So yeah, I'm feeling good.
You feeling all right?
It was a good weekend of sport. The Tour de France is back.
Yeah, Oaks are getting up to shenanigans there.
Yeah.
They're trying to find that guy.
Ooh. I was watching it live when that whole thing happened, and it was wild.
You into the cycling?
Yeah. In recent years, I've not all cycling. I just enjoy watching the Tour de France.
Oh, it's an experience. It's a thing. Used to have a mate of mine. She was like super into it, and then she decided to leave for Australia. We used to get together for sort of like the second week, and we'd make it a thing, particularly for that final weekend, sort of the procession day and the day before. You know, we'd get together for that.
No, you can't, because our country's level 4 and...
Oh, she moved to Australia 6 years ago. In fairness, I should maybe let go of it. I mean, I have let go, but we used to do that.
It's okay if you haven't.
No, I've let go. I think cycling's... Froome. You know, I'll watch the Love Vuelta every now and then as well.
Oh, no.
But cycling, tough one to get into. They don't do enough to sell it to me, you know?
Look, I can't say I watched it on the edge of my seat and I'm, oh my gosh, look what's happening. And what strategy are they doing? No, I'm not like that. Like, I'll watch it and I'll be on my phone and then I'll watch it.
It's more like test cricket.
Yeah,
no, cycling's not especially for young people who want to see T20 cricket, is cycling, especially Tour de France.
Yeah.
That's like test cricket, so it's for bullies like me, actually. So, hey, you're quite a refined person. I didn't expect that from you.
I'm a man of refined tastes.
Yeah, but don't cause Oaks to crash. I mean, what are we doing?
Yeah, that was wild. Apparently there's a police hunt for it.
Yeah, no, that Oak is... I mean, you got to think, the Tour de France that's not Mickey Mouse. We're not playing games there.
No.
That is top 5, top 6 sports events in the world.
Yeah.
It's certainly of the endurance events. I mean, between that and Comrades, I would argue Comrades just because cycling is an exclusive sport and extremely expensive. So I'd say Comrades is probably the biggest endurance event in the world. But in fact, not probably. It is the biggest endurance event in the world by a country mile. But of the blue chip stuff, you know, it's like I would say Tour de France is like the Monaco of all of the events. You know, like Monaco is where you go when you just want to hang around with other rich people. You don't want to think about the rest of life. This is how it should be. You go to Monaco, right? Cycling is that. That's like the edge of science. They are constantly pushing the envelope, often going over the edge. But I don't want to get into that. Cycling's a special sport, and then of the special sport, you get the Tour de France, right? Like that is the final level.
It's 3 weeks, 3.5-ish weeks of just burning legs and blisters and just probably severe sunburn and energy drain. Imagine the... Dude. That's intense stuff, dude.
Yeah, it's wild.
Up and down the hill and then through the Alps, and then it's just... No, dude. No. Woo!
Lance Armstrong ruined an industry. That's what Lance did. Do you think he knows that? Does he care?
No, he doesn't, because I don't know if you remember, a couple of days after his whole trial thingy, he posted a picture on Twitter of him lying on the couch of his mansion with his jerseys. And,
Yeah, I remember that.
yeah, I don't think.
But then he did the Oprah interview. Did you see that? Yeah.
Mm.
And his podcast is actually really good. Lance, I don't mind Lance. Like I'm not the world is all roses and perfect. So,
What's his podcast about?
I don't know. You'll get like porn stars in there. He'll get just interesting characters. You know.
Really?
It's about a wide range of things. Yeah. Yeah. No, he's cool. Like he's
Interesting.
he's my type of person. Old Lance, super confident, driven. I mean, also Lance is like a 5-star athlete, you know.
Wow.
No. But before he got into that, I'm not like a Lance fan, so he's like into it, you know, because he was all American triathlete before he did the cycling thing. So it's not like he was coming. He wasn't coming from the couch and being a Netflix and chill guy, and all of a sudden took over cycling, you know.
His method of doping was blood transfusion, right?
I'm not too sure, but it was, obviously the whole system. It was the whole, everyone was doing it. I mean, we're not. Anyway, I don't want to get into this. Cycling, awesome. Tour de France, awesome. The guy's about to get arrested. It is a national treasure.
It's a woman, by the way. It's a German woman.
Revenge for 44, because the French.
I'm not saying anything. That's you. This is you. That's not me. I'm not.
Do you know, a lot of people say COVID changed everything. World War I changed everything. Well, World War II really changed everything in this case. I mean, if it's a German lady, how old is she? Do we know?
Probably 36.
Oh,
I don't know.
Like, her life's over, right? Imagine 36. Your life is terrible for the next 50 years.
What can they try her? Trial? Try?
Yeah.
What can they try her for? Like, would it be negligence, or like what would be the sort of?
I guess what they'll do is, you know, with lots of lawyers, you can always kind of pile it up, right? I mean, I don't know. I'm not a lawyer. If you're a lawyer, you can say it in the comments if you're with us on YouTube. By the way, click like if you like the content. If you don't, click dislike and tell us how much.
I have a lawyer friend that always speaks about how terrible my grammar is.
Yeah, but she only works with mining companies.
Well, the law is the law, surely.
No, it's, James, this is not after, by the way. This is real life. The law is not the law. But
what I mean by that is, I'm not disrespecting lawyers. I just mean, surely you have to have a foundation.
I mean, they are BA students. Let's also be clear. Lawyers are not the smartest people. Please. Get over yourselves. Can barely count to 10. So do me a favor, lawyers thinking they're the smartest people on earth. They aren't. It's a BA subject. Please. Anyone can get in. You don't need to be able to you could get the same people who get into AFTA get into law. Do me a favor. BA students. I mean, jeez, like.
Wait, I have an article here of what the lady can be tried for.
Okay. According to who?
According to an article.
Okay.
That I got sent this weekend.
So she could be tried. And you're saying she's 36. Is that confirmed? Or I don't want to go off if she's not 36.
No, you asked me the age. I just said a random number.
Oh, so you took a guess, a wild guess.
Yeah.
Did you see her?
Yeah, I was watching it live.
So she's young, huh? She's not like, we're not talking about a wench here.
She looked kind of your age-ish.
Yeah, so that's not young. 35 is not young.
It's all just very dramatic in the intro.
Do you know what? That's a matter of, I guess they're going to probably put her somewhere like a matter of national security, blah, blah, blah. I don't want to say attempted murder, but they'll try and get her on everything just to make sure that people don't take that chance again. She'll certainly be banned from France. That is for sure.
So, prosecutors in Brittany have launched a criminal inquiry after the unidentified female smiled to a TV camera while waving a cardboard sign with a message written in a mix of French and German to her grandparents during the first stage of the Tour de France. She also dipped. This is not what the article says. This is in my words. She dipped. Like, before the investigators came, she was out. She's like, I'm out of here. She left.
So, okay, for those who didn't see it, James, do you want to explain to us what happened?
So, they were on quite a narrow part of the sort of course. So, the riders don't have that much wiggle room between the grass embankments and the actual road. They were cycling, living their best lives. Woo, Tour de France, first stage.
Probably not. Probably not. Lactic acid just building up. But okay, I get the gist.
They were like, my legs are sore. Anyway, cycling. And then there was a lady that had a sign written on cardboard. Not sure what it said. But she held it up, right? Like this. And she faced the camera, which would be where you are. Mm-hmm. And she wasn't watching the peloton that was coming behind her. So the one cyclist went straight into her sign, and he went down, and because it was a narrow road, there was just...
Yeah, carnage.
Yeah, it's all over Twitter. If you want to see the clip, it's all over Twitter.
Yeah, no, I mean, I saw it. Look, in the end, for goodness sake, it's not like she was a terrorist, you know? Yes, be a little more vigilant, but in fairness, do you know what I hate? You ever go to the shops and people aren't aware? Like, they'll just leave their trolley in the middle of the way and they're going to get something at the end of the aisle at the top.
But you've parked your trolley in front of the mayonnaise that I
No,
want.
no. I don't even have... Yeah, I don't even have a trolley. I'm just walking.
Yeah.
I'd like to also be a part of the shopping experience without you being the main actor in my... Do you know what I mean? But that's just how people are, you know? And to her, I mean, let's not confuse savagery with ignorance. You know... Never put down to sort of intelligence what you can to just pure ignorance and stupidity. And she was just, it was a moment of stupidity. Now, it just happened to be at one of the biggest events in the history of mankind, be a little more self-aware. But we see it in our lives all the time, right? Like, I know it sounds like a stupid comparison, but the idiots who park their trolley in the middle of an aisle on a Saturday at 11 o'clock at a shopping market, and now four of us are going, sorry, who's, do you know, let me see. And then you got to move it.
Yeah.
Like, it's the same thing, right? Maybe she's just an ignorant person and not, just an idiotic moment. Who knows?
The irritation around it is, at the Tour de France, fans have always been kind of an issue. Because there is not necessarily a barrier between the cyclists and the fans. And like, when they get to the stages where they're climbing hills or whatever, there's people that are literally on the road and they leave them like a gap just to cycle through, and the rest are like hitting them on the back. And yeah, like, you get your supporting, but like, these guys are trying to focus getting to the top of this hill. They don't need you like parting just before you get to them. You know what I mean?
But that's always been a part of it as well. Like, I hear the negative, but listen, I've done nothing close to Tour de France. But I've done 100 milers, 250k races in mountains, 100k races in mountains. Is when you've got people screaming for you in that, it's a huge thing. And it's never been a problem at the Tour de France. Lately, though, it's become a thing. Like, over the last sort of 5 years, more and more fans are coming into it. And I think it's the social media generation we live in, you know? It's like, anyone can be a star and I'll do anything.
Yeah. Let me be on TV.
Because there was a time when it was fine. Like, even think of the last years. Nobody was saying anything about fans.
Yeah, and I think it was also because people had more of a sort of decorum about it.
I wonder what it is. And maybe, and I mean, maybe this is going a bit far, it's like, the Tour de France now, there's a lost generation. That old generation who used to treat it like it was the Holy Grail are now bullies that are staying at home, right? Now it's James's mates and my age generation where there's a slight disconnect from the values and the tradition of the thing. And actually, my generation, we're a little bit jaded. Like Jan Ulrich and your good mate Lance kind of turned us off, right? So the guys that are out there, it's not the same thing anymore. I'm not going to the Tour de France to have to sort of imbibe this sort of culture toning thing.
Yeah.
It's just I'm popping over. Let's go get hammered, and But I don't know if I'm right. I think maybe my generation is the guys who can afford to go there now, and it doesn't mean the same. It's just let's go get pissed, lads.
Well, generations aside, I think. So a couple of years ago, Froome had urine thrown on him.
I saw that. He wasn't happy. Punched Luke in the face.
Like, still, dude. Like, regardless of generations or behavior or whether you've had 3 or 7 beers, dude, it's incredibly barbaric to throw urine at someone.
It happens.
Dude, that's savagery.
It happens, dude. The world's not perfect. Is when you open yourself up, and I'm pretty sure back in the day, it was way worse. Now we just hear about it.
Yeah, because social media is
You know what I mean? So I'm pretty sure it's been happening the whole time, but now we're starting to hear about it, which is, I guess, what's interesting to me.
I found the reason or what this lady can be tried for.
Okay.
So prosecutors have opened a criminal inquiry for deliberately violating safety regulations and so causing injuries that might prevent someone working for up to 3 months. This is an indictable offense punishable with up to a year in prison and a fine equivalent to just under £13,000.
A year in prison?
Oof.
A year in prison?
Oof.
No ways. No, that. I'm sorry, that is ridiculous. If you haven't seen the video, go and watch it. No, man.
Also, the tour deputy director is suing the woman for behaving badly.
How much?
To ensure that the tiny minority of people who do this don't spoil the show for everyone.
How much? Do you know?
Doesn't seem to say here.
For behaving badly. You're getting sued for behaving badly. Who decides what good behavior is? Who's this guy?
Well, I mean, I think in this sense, it's fairly obvious what good behavior is. Do you consider it sort of blurred lines in terms of behavior when you see a fan run onto the field naked? No, you know that's bad behavior.
It's a little different.
No, but it's not though.
No, well, I mean, she had a sign up. Again, probably in her own world. I mean, it's very different from a streaker. A streaker, that is very deliberate. Are you suggesting she planned bringing down an entire peloton? Of course not.
No, that's not what I'm saying at all.
So what are you saying?
What I'm saying is there's a very, very fine line.
Yeah.
That the normal person can see. This is good behavior, this is bad behavior. Right? You're at the Tour de France. You probably saw the peloton coming, let's say 500 meters down the road, right? So you're sort of kind of aware that these guys are about to pass you. I think that awareness should kind of take over, and you shouldn't be dumb about it. Like, these oaks train years to compete at the Tour de France once, dude.
But we see dumb stuff all the time. You can't punish people for being stupid as much as we'd all like to, because otherwise, for smoking, I should be able to sue you. Because number one, you're a drain on the health system, right? No, like you are. You're an annoying drain on the health system.
Well, I'm not anymore, but I get what you're saying. Yeah.
Because that's stupid. It's stupid to smoke. We know that.
Yeah.
So what I'm saying is this girl, I don't think she was being malicious. I think she was being stupid.
Yes.
And once we start punishing people for being stupid, we have a problem. Who decides what stupid is? Right? Where does stupid start? If you like James and you're an idiot and you don't know Pythagoras' theorem, do we punish you? Because don't put down her being stupid in that moment and self-absorbed to being malicious. A streaker, it's premeditated.
Yeah.
That's malicious. That's bad behavior. There's a difference for me between bad and stupid. That's not the same thing. Maybe she's just stupid. What do we do now? Give her a year in prison.
And a £13,000 fine.
Yeah. Listen, I don't mind the money thing, but don't ruin her life because she's stupid. Like give her, you know what, maybe 100,000 euros, 100,000 pounds, whatever it must cost, and she must pay that off. Because whatever we do in life, I'm not really, again, it'll sound counterintuitive to what I've just said, but I'm not big on intent, all right? Because intent is only interesting to the offender. So if you break my arm and you come and say to me, sorry, I broke your arm, yeah, I didn't intend to. That's not interesting to me. Is my arm less broken? So she has committed a catastrophe, and there has to be consequences for that. You know, we live in a society where, I'm sorry, if you're a grown up, like you're saying, and I think somewhere in the middle between what we're saying is, even if it is an ignorance thing, like, sorry, you have choices. Is don't live amongst us, or we must enlighten you a little bit.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? Is it, sorry, you have to pay a price. I think a prison sentence, because remember, you send her to prison, you ruin her life. For what? I mean, I love sport. I think sportsmen, honestly speaking, are the most important people in the world. Subjectively. Objectively, obviously not. But what are you going to... They're not saving children in Gambia, right? Like also, it's like Naomi Osaka. What I can't stand about her is sometimes, like these spoiled brat millionaires that do sport for a living, that pretend for a living, right? Who I love and admire, and they are my heroes. For God's sake, you are not saving children in the rainforest in Brazil. Do you know what I mean? You are cycling in Lycra. Do I admire you? Yes. But are we going to not put it in perspective? This poor girl hasn't ignited. She is not the Nazis marching on Stalingrad in 1944. You know what I mean? Like, come on.
Look, I think I'm not advocating for her to go to prison. Sort of they're advocating because
advocates are lawyers.
Will deal with this issue.
No, it's terrible what you did there. Yeah.
Nailed it. I'm not advocating for her to go to prison or for her life to be ruined.
Nailed it, he says. He loves.
If you're not going to be proud of that one, I will be.
Nailed it. That's awesome.
I'm not advocating for it.
Sound like you are a bit.
I'm not, though. I just feel like when it comes to these kinds of things...
But jail, James. Do you understand?
No. I'm not saying she should go to jail.
Yeah.
Definitely a fine or something.
No, a fine for sure.
But my thing around it, and again, I'm not saying she should go to jail, but around these sorts of events where there's not really a security presence or a barrier or anything like that, over the years, if it's been going for 108 years... over that period of time, surely it's worked up some sort of gentleman's agreement between the cyclists and the fans, right? More so from the fans' point of view,
yes,
where don't get in the way of the cyclists, be aware of where they are, don't hit them, don't throw urine at them. Like, surely over the years, over 108 years.
But your presumption is that people do what's good and not what they want. People are self-absorbed. Like, again, I know I keep going back to this example, is we kind of know now what's healthy to do. But what do people continue to do? They sit on their couch and eat Doritos and get a belly. And the numbers are astonishing if you look at the sedentary diseases that are now sort of eating at the fabric of society. So my presumption is that people don't know what's good for them. And I'm not saying that because I want to be cool or clever. I'm saying, look at the numbers. Why do so many people smoke? Why do so many people binge drink? Like, why are so many people obese? I'm talking globally now. People don't always do what's best for them because people are not aware. I think you are thinking it of aside from, most people are self-aware people. Most of us are not. I include myself in that, by the way. I am, like, I think of some of the things I do and some of the things I say. I'm like, wow, that is not an aware thing to do. Most people are not self-aware. Otherwise, don't you think we'd have less obese people, less smokers, less drinking, less violence, less people drinking and driving? Why is that different from her ignorance?
I think self-awareness is a hard thing to learn.
Yeah.
And I don't think a lot of people are self-aware.
Definitely not. And I include myself in that. I'm not saying, other people.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
I'm saying I'm one of the least...
Yeah.
I'm one of the most self-absorbed people I know. And I'm not saying it to be glib. I literally mean that.
But still, dude, like, stay away from the road.
I'm with you, bro.
Like, just stay away from the road.
Also, what was she thinking? Like, you aren't. I'd like to be inside her head. Just like, do you know the monkey and the grinder, the organ grinder? So okay. Anyway, back in the day, there were these organ grinders who would rob people, but they train a monkey to kind of do little tricks. A monkey and the organ grinder is, it's an analogy, James. I don't have time. They should have taught you this at after. But anyway, I feel like in her head was that monkey, that organ grinding monkey. You often see it, Abu from Aladdin, if you know what I'm talking about. If you know, blood. Shout out Disney. You know what I'm saying? I feel in her mind at that stage was just, I can imagine Abu just playing like a tangerine in her brain. Yeah. Like, just she is not thinking at that moment. Like, you are not at a nail parlor. You are at the biggest cycling event in the world at a narrow path. No, fair enough. But ignorance is not a reason to send people to prison.
What's the difference?
Massive fine, though. Massive fine is important.
Absolutely. What's the difference between, let's say, this edge of the table here is the start of the road. What's the difference, me as a supporter, standing here where I know I can't touch them, or not can't, shouldn't, as a human being.
Yeah.
Standing here and standing, let's say, like there. You know?
You know my take, James. I want rules. There's no rule there. That's presuming people are gonna. I know people. They rules, but people don't like rules now, dude. It's I want to express myself, so that's what happens, hey. Yeah. Anyway, anywho,
tough first day at the door.
Yeah, listen, that's
2 accidents.
Tough. Hey, James, since you into education, I mean, listen, we were gonna do where I was right, where I was wrong. We could always move it till tomorrow. You're always educating me. Where was that accident, James? And you need to teach the people or the significance of that location.
That accident was, and I'll tell you in 1 second. It was, is there a significance behind the location?
Brittany. Anything?
Oh, we're talking about Brittany?
Mm-hmm. Brittany.
Probably a war of some. I don't know.
All right. For those who don't know, but by the way, I probably should do an intro. I mean, it's a sports show. We're only 30 minutes into it. We got Paulo Diaz today. If you're into Formula One, we got Spike Ballantyne. He'll be with us from 1:00 South African time, and we've got in a little bit we got Paulo Diaz. But I want to go through James's teachings, which James obviously knows about. James, you obviously know what I'm about to tell you anyway.
You're about to tell me about the war that took place in Brittany.
I'm not. Okay.
And something.
Yes, a very war-filled place at the time. But Brittany, just so you know, of course, we know that the United Kingdom known as?
United Britain.
Okay, I'll give you another chance.
You said the United Kingdom known as?
Yeah, what do they often call that?
Great Britain.
Great Britain. This is Brittany, James. You're getting the link. Right, owned by the French, of course, back in the day. So when they went to the UK, took over for a little while, they said, we have Britain already. Great Britain is the bigger one. That's all it means, just so you know. So great isn't like, oh, we are the Empire Britain. It is just the bigger Brittany. So, but you knew that already.
I did.
Oh.
My brother, who's a history teacher, is not disappointed in me at all.
No, it's yes. So your brother's a better person than you are. I don't think that's a harsh thing to say. Hey, James, he's smarter than you. Is he getting married?
Yes,
he's getting married before you. His wife is also a teacher, I believe.
Yes, she is.
Okay, so I'm not saying his wife is a better person than your current partner. I'm just saying, like, they are helping and educating the future, and he's a history guy. I don't know what you're doing, dude.
Yeah, he just sent me a message now, and he said, James, I'm ashamed of you with about 7 angry faces.
Absolutely, because that you should know. It's such an important, integral part, especially having gone to St. Stithians. I mean, a mark of the empire. You should kind of know the history of and that's a pretty basic one. Your brother would probably say to me, okay, yeah, for your brother, you know what that is? That's low level. That's grade 1. I think I'm flexing. Your brother would go, all right, get the hell out of here. You go to the dumb class. No one cares about that. That's not an interesting fact.
I think I'm joking about these angry faces.
Yeah. Okay, but at least, James, I've told you now. So now you know. You didn't know before that Great Britain, you may have thought maybe it's the biggest Britain or...
Yeah, sure.
Yeah, so it is just the bigger Brittany because the French obviously were occupying the United Kingdom, as you know only too well at that time.
Absolutely,
You know that only too well, and
I do.
Really I'm wasting time. All right, ladies and gentlemen, joining us now, a man who last time he was on, right? By the way, one of the hardest working human beings of all time. He works in an office in one of the nicest areas because he has worked his tail off. He has managed to actually secure himself a gig in an area which is one of the more plush areas in the Republic of South Africa, and indeed, I would say the world. But he had dial-up internet last time. And the most hilarious thing was it paused exactly where, in his words, he calls the most bulbliest moment where his head, as you know, he has no hair. We absolutely love that. So maybe he needs to move out of the slums of Bryanston and actually just get an office, I don't know, somewhere underground. Maybe change the dial-up a little bit. Maybe move from 2G to 5G. I mean, the president of being Portuguese in Portugalville, of Portugueseness, ladies and gentlemen, the one, the only, a man who I'm sure is still contemplating whether there's anything to live for. Ladies and gentlemen, Paulo Diaz. Paulo, what's happening, Paul?
The lighting in my studio is very dungeon-like, I've realized. This is terrible. I look like I'm in a place for naughty people because there's red walls, there's red above me. It's not the best lighting, but my internet looks better today, I think.
Maybe you're being punished for, were you that lady, the German lady who caused the Tour de France crash?
This is our world right now. What a stupid story. Have they found her yet? Because I know there was a manhunt.
I don't think they've found her, no.
Oh, do you know what? They're never going to find her. What they have to do is a woman hunt.
That's probably a better idea, huh?
Well, who knows if that's what she identifies as. We can't assume that.
She could identify as an apple.
No, this is true. I hadn't, you know it. But Paulo, you and James are here. This is why you're both here, is that I got a little bit, that was misogyny coming out of me there. Thank you, gentlemen, for sophisticating me.
Yeah, I mean, that's what we do. That's what we do.
Paulo, let's just get straight into it. Let's not muck about here, okay? Because there's a lot of mucking about on this show. Take me into your feelings. Everybody knows you're everything that is Portuguese. Last night, obviously, tragedy. I'm not even going to do a preamble. Let's get into it. Portugal out. Talk to me.
You know, it's here's my solace, right? I find solace in myself. In that it's nice being in a tournament like this that you've won, right? So if you take and I do note that all these teams have won the World Cup subsequently. But Germany hasn't won it since the 90s. France hasn't won it in 21 years. Italy hasn't won in ages. England never won. And we won recently. So it's comforting. So you go, okay, well, there's no pressure, but of course you'd like more. That said, is that the team that started yesterday, there's a very lazy thing going around, is that because the coach is old, Ronaldo's old, Pep is old, or Pep, as I've heard everyone started to call him properly now, is old. People go, oh, well, it's the same team, and they just got tied together, which they haven't. You know, there's been massive change in the squad, and the coach gets criticized. And I don't think any of that comes into the equation. And where I see it is that Portugal didn't win the Euro in 2016. They won it in 2008 and they won it in 2012. Because in those, the tournaments were hard and they learned hard lessons and they became grizzled, and João Moutinho and Nani and Quaresma and Pepe and all these guys learned how to lose so that they could eventually win. And sort of for this new team, I see this as the first lesson of learning how to lose, so ultimately we can win. So I take positives out of it. It's
great PR spin. Great. Paulo, there's a reason why you work in the biz you're in, and there's a reason why you're the best in the business. That PR spin is some of the most unbelievable. Dude, you know who needs you right now? A guy called Vladimir Putin. His PR currently in the West, not great. That was phenomenal PR spin, dude. Incredible how you've... Wow, that is sensational work there, Paulo Diaz. I've got to commend you there. You've blown me away.
Because I have to cover myself, because I start talking about how I still don't think Belgium are that good a side. It showed last night. It's like, I think Italy are going to tear them to pieces. Somebody's going to tear them to pieces eventually. I don't get the Belgium thing. I don't get golden generations, but they beat us in fair, whatever. But I have to cover myself somehow.
James has some thoughts there.
Paulo, I want to know something, right? You've been down talking Belgium this entire tournament. How does it feel that they're the ones to knock?
It feels like that's what was going to happen. It's called serendipity. There were a lot. I read a lot before people say, "Oh, it's going to be a great game, 4-4, whatever." I never felt it'd be that. It'd be so. The teams are so evenly matched. For every Belgian player, he's got a Portuguese equivalent. They are just so evenly matched. It was going to take one goal and more than likely a wonder strike. And I said this before the game, and not just afterwards. It was going to be something crazy to win it. I don't get Belgium. You looked yesterday. Just look at their game management. Roberto Martinez, that is not an international coach, guys. This is not a coach for this set of players. Okay, I'm sorry. And you saw it yesterday. Tactically in the second half, yes, Portugal played well and they let Portugal play. They had no plan. Portugal were tearing through them. Okay, yes, eventually just crossing and the final ball just wasn't there, and that's Portugal's issues. But there is nothing in this team that makes me go, this is the champions we're watching, especially now De Bruyne is out. Hazard's those injuries don't get recovered in 5 days. I don't get it. I don't get the side. They are serial failures to me. They are serial losers.
Oof.
Belgium are serial losers. This squad, what is it called? Project 2012. Remember that?
I do. Yeah.
And they have gone tournament to tournament, falling when it matters. They are serial losers.
Yeah, but
Look, they are.
You're right. Listen, there is. Do you know what? And I think it's the English media again, right? It's almost like if you just pitch up to a football match, in this day and age, and you win maybe 3 out of 10, you're a golden generation. What about this Belgian generation is golden? There is not one, just like that last English generation. Nothing about it is golden, because you know what's golden? The winning part. Like, why do we label generations golden? Is it just purely a potential? What they should label them is the potential generation for all of them. Do you know what I mean?
And Portugal had a golden generation for years and did nothing. They were glorious. They were glorious failures as well. And it's golden oldies. That's what Belgium are. They got golden, and this is rich because they've got the 38-year-old in defense ourselves. But I'm sorry, they are serial failures. They've gone to tournament after tournament after tournament, not done it, and this will be another one. I don't think I saw the champions yesterday, not by a long shot.
Do you know what? You say that, right? And I wanted to kind of finish off with this, and you brought up Italy. I wasn't impressed by Italy either. Remember, I predicted Austria to beat Italy, actually, in my predictions, and I think I was close.
Almost happened, eh? Yep.
Because I'm not impressed by that Italian team either. I think both sides, and obviously Italy's record, yes, we're going to go, what's it now, 21 in a row, 11 or 12 now without conceding in regulation time under Roberto Mancini, 21 unbeaten. But what I saw there is Austria had them on the ropes with that gegenpress, right? I said it on, I think it was Friday, James, I don't like the lack of dynamism in the midfield. Like tippy-tappy and bringing Locatelli on as your kind of option against Belgium. I don't know if that's enough either. If Belgium can recover, forget Hazard and De Bruyne, they've got serious physicality in there in the midfield. I mean, obviously Italy's quality off the bench and Chiesa, the second coming of his father, of course, also a clinical, deadly striker, Enrico Chiesa in his time. But Chiesa, great finish, by the way, I wasn't hugely impressed by Italy either, but I wasn't shocked, because I said with Italy, the more of them I've seen, the less I've liked. And usually in life with football teams, the more you see, you think, okay, geez, you know what I mean? Like the more you see, you go, all right, geez, this left back, or they got a boy on the left there, Spinola, is it? My God, some player. But I don't like, I don't like what I'm seeing with Italy. So I think Belgium, Italy, both not a great game because they're great teams, great game because they're actually mediocre teams, to be honest with you. But I don't know your thoughts.
I do not disagree with that. So I'm just trying to look at the draw here, this draw after this round, I mean, Belgium, Italy go through. I think they got France. Will that be that side of the door?
That'll be the semi. Yeah. So England have the Germany have the cakewalk because I think, but we'll talk about that tomorrow. Is that side is honestly they might as well be playing against my pub team on that other side. The England-Germany side of the draw is honestly a cakewalk. James likes cheesecake. I'm a chocolate cake guy. Whatever kind
How
of.
did we get you? What?
Well, it's a cakewalk. It's a cakewalk.
It's a cakewalk.
Yeah.
So we're going to get cake.
Yeah.
And then when you walk down Cake Street, Umbelelo's going to get chocolate cake and you're going to get cheesecake.
Thank you.
Ideally, you find one place that sells both. But
sure.
Who knows?
The world's not perfect
these days.
And I mean, COVID changed everything. Cyril's closed everything. You can't have you can't have everything.
Did I not get the memo that the broadcasters are going for a cakewalk?
No, well,
we can't go for a cakewalk.
No, where you going?
Now. Oh, yeah, we're in level 4 now.
Cake delivery.
Yes.
Yeah, we can get cake delivery.
You can only get a cake delivery. Okay, that's a sign. Cake delivery.
Not my rules.
No, you just, and it's admirable that you're willing to actually stick to the rules. you can get a cake delivery. That's what you can get, and you'll be happy with it. So, Paolo, I mean, just to finish off on that, I'm not impressed by either team, and I think Germany have the easiest path for me to the final. So that's a really interesting thing. But that side of the draw, my God, whoever gets France. And actually, have France pitched up, Paolo? Because now you've kind of thrown that up as well. Have you seen France? Have you been impressed? Do you think the talent will eventually turn on? Or unless you've been impressed by France, I'd love to hear your thoughts.
So France have this thing is that, and I wondered when Portugal were watching them, playing them, and it's very evident that there was a gentleman's agreement at some point to just, pull back as long as the other game was working for them. So I wonder, France are playing in second gear. They've got you in second gear. They've got way more. You sometimes wonder if teams can just switch it, if they can go up those gears, or they get so used to playing in the second gear. If they do need to lift it, can they? Because if they can, they'll blow everyone away and the tournament's theirs. But, what it comes down to now is that it's so weird. I love soccer. Soccer does this, right? Because you see it in the league all the time. Oh, you can't judge the first few games because everyone's finding themselves. Then there's like a 4 or 5 game period where everyone's supposed to be playing well, or then you can't judge teams because now it's just about getting 3 points on the board. So you can actually never want a team to play well,
Yeah.
So tournaments are like that. You can't judge on the group because you just got to get out the group. And now they're out the group. Oh, it doesn't matter about the football. They just got to win. So it's like we're never allowed to have good soccer in the meantime. And I think it just comes. I still maintain that this flipping around and going to different venues is going to play a massive role at some point. I did not watch the Champions yesterday by any stretch of the imagination. Why I like Italians is that they are tactically smart and they will change and they will adapt as the game goes along. They will not, compared to yesterday. So Fernando Sanz got a lot of criticism because of the Germany game because he got it wrong. He admits he got it wrong. Yesterday, tactically, everything he did yesterday was perfect. He did his substitutions, his everything. He did not make a mistake. Nobody made a mistake yesterday. Rui Patricio put 1 foot wrong. That was the only mistake any player made in yesterday's game. That's it.
Sure.
And managed coaching-wise as well. And what I think the difference is this is where Roberto Martinez is going to come short because I think the Italians are smarter. I think they will see things, they'll pick up things, and not wait for a coach to adapt. They are adaptable and they know who they are and they know their identity and they can play and they can adapt the game. So I think just that is going to take Belgium. They're going to be pushed by that back three. I don't know why Portugal didn't put them under more pressure. They were very clever because they didn't want anyone to run because they know once you run at them, Portugal are going to commit fouls and Italy got the runners. So I just think that they're going to turn those back three. I do think Italy I don't see Italy as winners, but I do think them as smarter players than the Belgian squad. And as a team, they're just going to adapt to the situations quick. And I think that could be it.
While we're talking about Italy, let's actually talk about what's important here. Roberto Mancini, greatest swag coach of all time. I mean, are you looking at that guy? I think he's dyed his hair at the front here, Paolo. There's like a silver fox line. I think that's dyed. I don't think that's his real hair. And then get out of here. His white shirt is the crispest thing you've ever seen. And then have you seen the suits, the Italy suit? And then
let me tell you.
Yeah.
No, sorry. Just to cut you there, right? Mancini is the guy he gets it all the front. Have you seen his little assistant coach, the little dude with the beard and the glasses?
Oh, I was about to say.
The guy with the Fellini glasses in the back.
The best.
Do me a favor. I don't know who that guy is, but he's quite short. He's got a beard, but also like salt and pepper, thick salt and pepper hair, got these Fellini glasses, but a little man wearing the swag. That dude just blew me away because Mancini is the poster boy.
Absolutely.
But he's so influential, his whole coaching staff.
Alberico Evani is who you're talking
the guy?
about. A good player in his time, by the way, Paulo.
That guy? Do me a favor.
Oh, yeah.
With his little Fellini glasses. I love it.
And the hair, it's all swag all the time, everywhere.
It's so Italian.
It is.
Oh, it's disgusting.
All right, so at least we're on the same page that they take it too far. I mean, I don't know if you've seen Mancini's shoes. It's like they are next level. There's probably like a 113-year-old Italian man who spent like 3 years making those in a dingy Napolitana sort of cobbler station. It's too much, but it's Italian. It's brilliant. I love it. I love Mancini.
I was all over Vialli and Mancini, resurrecting their Sampdoria loving. I mean, those two are just bromances. I love that. I'm here all day for that sort of stuff.
I love Vialli because, for those who haven't been keeping an eye, I mean, he's had some health scares over the last sort of 3 or 4 years. So that was awesome to see. And to also see, like you say, their bromance has survived football. He obviously, as a Chelsea guy, I'm biased to Vialli. I absolutely love him. But just like you said, that bromance was amazing. But swag coach of the year, Scott Parker, get out of town, right?
No, Scott Parker, this is, my daughter asked me yesterday, she said, if you're a coach of an international team, what would you wear? I was like, well, that is an amazing question. That is a phenomenal question.
Paulo, your daughter is the most switched on human, right? She said broadcasters was the one, by the way, just so people don't steal that from her. And now that's an unbelievable question.
Tell me about it, right? So I was like, that is fantastic because during a tournament, you're not wearing tracksuits. The eyes in the world are on you. You also can't do a suit. It's too hot. Okay. Mm-hmm. I saw Martinez yesterday, suit tie, get out of here. Gareth Southgate. I don't know. I don't know Gareth Southgate's doing. He's going to go paint. I think you can't be Mancini. Only Mancini can be Mancini. I like Ronald de Boer. I like what he's got going on. I think it's a little bit of smart cash, polo shirt, nice chinos, relaxed, smart sneaker, formal sneaker. I like what De Boer's doing. I think that's perfect for summer tournament.
No, I'm with you on the Mancini thing. I think you've nailed.
I think Paula's daughter is #woke AF.
No, I just think, James, I'd love to do an IQ test between her and the after kids. She's definitely ahead.
So mean.
She is definitely ahead. I mean, the type of
so
questions.
Mean.
She's asking, I'm just saying what I'm saying. I know.
It's the observations, kids.
Yeah.
They hone in what matters.
No, it's such a great question because you can't pull a Tuchel vibe, right? You can't be pitching up there in your like I come to work every day in your your running tights. You can't do that with your bomber jacket. That ain't gonna work. That is such a great question, dude. We need to get your daughter on the show. She'd definitely give us production value because that's big journalism right there. Paulo, let's go back to the football though, because I know your daughter might make you happy. That's a good thing. I want to go back to something that makes you unhappy.
Lol.
I'm looking at Portugal's setup, and I'm saying, how many defensive mids do you want to put in? Because when the guys came off the bench, I thought, bloody hell, Bruno. Wait. João Felix, I'd forgotten about João Felix, and you know my thoughts on him. It's like, wait, you have those two on the bench in England style. Why is he not starting? Why is he not finding a way to just play? I guess Renato's maybe not a holding mid, but could we maybe find a way to have just one pivot and then play Bruno and what was on the field as well? At least Bruno, come on. I know he's playing badly, but come on, or not.
Yeah, it's. Yeah, I wish I had that answer. I mean, he loves, and even yesterday, you and I were chatting on WhatsApp. He said, Andre Gomes isn't even in the squad. I'm like, Jesus, that's like 6 or 7 defensive midfielders. And we took 6 defensive midfielders, right? 6 to the tournament. Of our 26 players, 6 were defensive midfielders. Listen, you got to take your best. You can't say that those players aren't good defensive midfielders. Renato Sanchez is a nice little bit of a hybrid. He just loves him. I mean, every coach has got Pep loves fullbacks. Fernando Santos loves defensive midfielders. It's just this thing. He had Ruben Neves playing centre forward the other day. He loves him. If he could have a whole team of defensive midfielders, he would. He loves him.
Yeah, Paulo, just to finish off your heartbreak, CR7, does he make the World Cup? Because I think he looks 23 and he could make it. We're 18 months away. Your thoughts on him? Would you like to see him kind of, because I mean, 38 by then? We're really starting to push the envelope on the 38 and a half, really, because it'll be a December World Cup. It won't be a summer World Cup. Your thoughts on the great man? Would you like to see him carry on, or do you think he should maybe play another game, get the record? Because he's equal in the record now, the goal scoring record, right? Play another, 2 or 3 games in the qualifying, maybe go through the qualifying and call it quits there once he's got the record? Or what are you thinking for the great man? What would you like to see?
He'll be closer to 39 because his birthday's in February. So he'll actually be like just off 39. Listen, Ronaldo genetically is 30 at oldest, He looks after himself. He's not going to... His games change. I was actually speaking to someone this morning and saying, it's quite funny that why Fernando Santos' job is safe is because Ronaldo backs him. Once Ronaldo turns on the coach, you're gone. So Paul Bento, Ronaldo fell out with him because he felt that he let Ronaldo take the heat for them getting knocked out of 2012, I think. So Paul Bento was gone. He got rid of Queiroz because Queiroz tried to turn him into centre forward and he didn't like it. Anyway, I think Ronaldo's going to manage his games. I don't think he's going to play every qualifier and every Nations League game. We've seen it before where he does take a little bit of a break from the qualifiers. I mean, maybe with the record on the table, but I think he's smart enough to know, let me sit them out and keep myself fresh for the World Cup. If Ronaldo's playing any team at the Euro, and this is something you go, Pepe and Ronaldo, every team in the Euro puts him in their first 11. Every team from France downwards puts those two in their first 11. And I think any team in the world, if Ronaldo's available, he's playing at least one more tournament. What I look at it though is that it just must not hamper, because I feel you have a striker like Andre Silva and someone just off him like Joao Felix. The two of them can be like, there's major potential between the two of them. And just as long as it doesn't hamper those two developing something, then that's cool. But listen, Ronaldo's still playing. Every defender in this tournament was petrified of him. At 38, what is age? Everyone was petrified of him. And I'll carry on that way.
Yeah, so, okay. No, I think that's fair. We'd like to see him. You know what I don't want to see? I don't want to see him as a diminished version of himself, because right now he's as good as I think. What's incredible is that he's as good at what he is now as he was as a flying right winger at Man United, if you know what I mean. Like, he's reinvented himself, and what he is now is like that inside left forward hybrid false nine-ish, whatever he's doing. The Ronaldo position. I think we can now call it the Ronaldo position. He's as good at that as he was on the right at 36. It's insane. I just don't want to see Ronaldo 5% less, because this is what I want to remember him as. I hope, obviously, with his greatness and his competitive edge, he'll want to carry on. And nobody should tell a great man like him what to do. But I'd love to just see him, like, maybe help Portugal qualify. And I want that to be the end. Like, I want to remember him like now. Like, I hope he gets the tournament top goal scorer, if that's still a thing. And it just ends that way, because this is one of two of the greatest, maybe, sporting careers we've ever seen. Not just football careers. Maybe him and Messi have the greatest sporting careers we have ever seen. And I'd love to see, do you know what I mean? Like, I want to see this great man finish on top. He deserves to be seen as the king that he is.
Yeah, he'll go out on his terms. So I think, he'll adapt, and he'll make sure that he doesn't go out as fading. And I think that's the thing with him. He will, even if he goes out not as this Ronaldo, he may reinvent himself as a false centre back. Yeah,
yeah. An attacking sweeper.
Yeah,
not impossible.
Libero. He'll bring back the libero.
That's it. So. Kaiser around too. Listen, Paulo. I used to have this unbelievable girlfriend, and when we broke up, right? Everyone so she became a surgeon. She was studying to be a surgeon. So every surgeon that I'd meet revolted me, Do you kind of feel like that right now? Like, Portugal are out now? Are you in your field still? Or are you going to watch the rest of the tournament? You know what I mean? You're not going to be like me and be revolted by everything that Euros brings your way.
No, I'm a tournament veteran. I mean, like I've seen Portugal knocked out of more tournaments than they've won, So I'm not. In a way, I'll tell you a strangest thing in a strange way. Once Portugal's out, I enjoy the tournament because now I go, okay. Because everything you're watching, oh, what if we play there? What if this happens? What? Oh, God. And it's just everything's stressful and you have this terrible pit. At least now we're knocked out, have this pit for a day, and then it goes. So it's actually weird. But once Portugal's out, I actually enjoy tournaments a lot more because then I just watch them and then I just decide on each day who I want to win. And it's a lot more freeing.
Yeah,
liberating.
Liberating.
Yeah, no, I totally get that. All right, Paulo, listen, your obviously Iberian mortal enemies play tonight. They have been, I mean, I'm not going to count the Slovakia result. And actually, the girlfriend I was telling you about was Slovakian, ironically. Other than that, Paulo, I have not liked a thing I've seen about Spain. They play tonight against Croatia with all of your Iberian bias. What do you see there? And you can also finish off with they lose, Enrique out, or what do you think?
I think Spain are very sneaky. There's always a team that hits the stride at the right time, and they look like it looks like it's Spain. And Luis Enrique, I really do. I got a lot of sympathy for him because of what he went through in his personal life, and I think he's got this perspective that this isn't the be all and end all. And I think with that's sort of the way he looks at football. And I just hated when people turn on him and the death threats against Morata's kids and all that nonsense that comes with it. So, even just from a human level and being a father and going like all these things that sort of like embedded in the Spain squad, it goes like, nobody deserves that. Football's really not worth all that. And you got to have some perspective. So Enrique, like, I think he's bought himself space to make his own decisions,
Hey, keep in mind, by the way, do you remember what the story was when he obviously had that tragedy? What was the assistant's name who took over?
Yeah, I think it was a Moreno. I'm not sure I think it was Moreno.
He took over.
I stand corrected.
And then Enrique came back and said, all right, Paul, like we agreed, I'm back now. And Moreno said, no, I like the job. I'm going to stay. The usurper had been usurped. And that was some good action. I don't know if you remember that at a while. They had to fire Moreno.
And he played phenomenal football.
Yes,
he was like,
they were
looking outrageous. And then Enrique comes back and sort of like shuffles the pack. But you know what the thing is, we haven't had the chance to talk about this about Spain and them. I mean, it's way down the road now, but dropping the Real Madrid players and all the rest of it. And there's a bit of a ghast and whatever. But going back to serial losers, there were people that he left out that have left Spain down time and time again. Remember, this is a Spain that's not gotten out of groups. This is a Spain that, with those players, have flattered to deceive.
Very
so
true.
Guys, you know what? There's got to be a time where we move on. Sergio Ramos, Isco, Asensio, you guys are phenomenal players, but you've let me down before. You've let us down, and it's just time to go. And I don't think there's any expectation on Spain to win this tournament, but it's definitely building for the future. So that's what I look at. It goes like, you guys failed. Sergio Ramos, you failed time and time again. You failed to inspire. It's time to go. It takes a big man to make the decision.
It does take a big man. I was just thinking about it now as you were talking, though. Is Moreno ever getting another job? Like,
no.
that was his nightmare job, right? Like, hey, you're the guy who wanted to fight Luis Enrique after he lost his daughter and wanted his job back. Are you that guy? You're going to coach. The only thing you're going to coach is actually get on the bus coach and drive it. That's the only coach you're going to be, mate. You know what I mean? Like, he is. Oh, that was murderous row. All right. So you reckon Spain tonight, they do it for Enrique, eh?
I think so. I think they're just tumbling into it at the right time. They're just starting to click. And I know you question Pedri. Pedri is phenomenal. There's something about that player that is just magical. I don't know if he does it this tournament, but there's that guy is this. He's the thing, and he's got a couple of experienced players around him. He's the real deal, that kid.
Yeah, I don't mind him. I just, as you know, my issue was bring all of the guys you've kind of said, but I think you've made a good point. You've made a good point. At some stage in life, you're gonna have to move on, pal. It's it's not 2008. It's not 2010. It's not 2012 anymore. Football, more than any other sport I know, is what have you done for me lately, pal?
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
So I hear you there. A revival of sort of some stuff happened, Paolo, between 1939, 1944. Don't really want to get into it. It made the papers. It's in some of your children's history books. So it got a little ugly, ended in Russia. The revival of that. The Germans play England. Your thoughts? I'd love to finish off on that.
I love English misery more than anything. I think I like English misery more than I like Portuguese triumph. I think Germany, like I talk about clever players and adaptable players, and I think the Germans are exactly that. And they will adapt and they will change, and the longer the game goes on without a result for England, the more all those things. None of these players have ever been affected by a loss to Germany, ever, but they will. It's a psyche about them. I don't know what it is that gets into their head about Germany that they absolutely collapse. So I think that is Germany for the win all day.
Yeah.
Glorious.
I agree there. And listen, it's listen, they're talking about giving Southgate a new deal. I don't even want to get into that, Paulo.
No way.
By the way, that was in the papers, and the head of the FA came out and said, we are delighted with what Gareth's doing. He's doing great work. But he's the perfect guy, right? I've always said he's their dream guy. Never says anything wrong, always down the middle. Yes, sir, no, sir, 3 bags, 4, sir. Because we remember the only time they've had a proper personality was Capello, right? And that lasted 15 minutes. The next time they had one was Sam Allardyce. That lasted, for different reasons, but that lasted 10 minutes. As soon as an English manager has a personality, he's got to go with the current regime, I feel.
I think it's the whole question of international managers, is that if you look right through it, it's company men. And that's what you are. You're a company man who's part of the federation. Yes, your job is yes sir, no sir, 3 bags, full sir, because your job is not to look after the first team. Your job is to have a sight on 2 or 3 steps lower. I'll tell you why the arguments came about recently about Portugal's under-21 coach, Rui George. And he's lost a lot of finals with Portuguese youth teams. Right?
Just a bunch of hoys, huh?
Yeah, just hoying it.
I don't have a COVID throat. That's it.
Oh, okay. I was going to say.
Paula, did you say Boy George or Hoy George?
Yes.
Nailed it.
By the way, Paulo loves... By the way, sorry. Great way to plug. Of course.
I was going to.
Go ahead.
Oh, yes. So I'm a big fan of Boy George because I love all things 80s, which we discuss on that 80s show on Cliff Central every Friday at 9 o'clock. Or you can find us on that 80s show essay on Facebook.
Lovely.
Past week, we interviewed Joan Armatrading. And dare I say that after our interview, her new album entered the charts at number 10. I'm not correlating them. They just happen at the same time.
I don't believe in coincidence.
Wow.
So after you interviewed her album's in the top 10, make of that what you will.
Look,
put it together.
I think it's out there in the open.
I'll put it out there. So anyway, he has lost quite a few finals with the youth teams. And people are going, well, should he go? But it's like, that's not his job. His job is to transition players through the system into the first team, which he's done. And now they're going, should he be the national team coach? Go, no, because he's not good at that job. And that's what you're going to get. And it goes, who takes over international managers? You don't get paid the most. You sit 3-4 months at a time doing nothing. You go tournament to tournament. It's not for everybody.
Yep.
So you will get company men. They're not going to be tactical innovators. They're not going to be dynamic. And I'm being quite a general because, I mean, if you look at what the Czech Republic coach did, oh my God, how he's got that team, an international team playing like that. But generally,
holy shit.
Wow, you know what I mean? It was like they were drilled. They were really drilled. And you're just not going to get that too much with the international side, and you're not going to get the most dynamic managers managing international football. I remember before we used to watch international football and come out of it, go, oh, what have we learned? What's the new trends? And the trends aren't happening there anymore. The trends are happening in club football. You just don't have the time with the players.
Yeah.
Paulo, always good to have you. And Paulo will be back in the meat and flesh very, very soon. The crowds are now baying for 2 things: my head on a stick or you returning, Paulo. I'm happy to say we will solve that as soon as ASAP.
ASAP. They don't have to be mutually exclusive, right?
Sure.
You can get me. I'll put his head on a stick.
I was going to say, Paulo, with my head on a stick, nothing wrong. Do you know what? I'll do whatever the people want. People call me selfish. I like to think I'm pretty enlightened. So me,
selfless. Selfless.
I'm willing to put my head on a stick, quite literally. Paulo, question here for you before we let you run is, do you want to slap Jota for the missed chance or Bruno for the long shots? Either of those two that you just like to give a PK, as we call it in South Africa?
You know what? Jota, is every team has a player that personifies your tournament. Jota was ours. We never found our feet. We were just we were always a step ahead or a step behind. And that was Jota. I just think if you go, how did Portugal do? I go, how did Jota do? And he was hardworking, good, but never good enough, and was just stumbling his way through. I mean, that's a lot of experience. That's what I say. That's where the experience has got to come. He's going to know next tournament, I can't do that stuff. I can't get away with it. And then as for Bruno Fernandes, I'm going to close off by blaming Solskjaer for Portugal's exit.
Yes, I knew it'd find a way.
Because he ran the guy into the ground for 4 months of the season. The last 4 months of the season did not give the guy a rest. And guess what happens? He's not fit. He's not sharp for Portugal. So by 7 degrees of Kevin Bacon, I found a way to blame Solskjaer for Portugal's malaise.
Amazing.
I've done it. You had it.
Amazing. Absolutely amazing storytelling there. Phenomenal. So it does deserve a round of applause. Paulo, on that note, we Jota get out of here.
Nope.
Jota get out of here.
I'm shutting it down now. Stop. No.
Paulo.
Oh, my Bryanston internet. Oh, no.
All right. Paulo, great to see you, pal. See you in a little bit, I hope, in the flesh, my brother.
Cool. Cheers, guys. Take
Cheers.
care.
Cheers.
Yeah, some good stuff. You managed to tie Ollie into it, huh?
Look, we don't have to.
Yeah, no. Listen, he's speaking from the heart. What do you want the guy to do? To lie to us?
I do enjoy talking down on Ollie, though. I won't lie to you.
I'm a big-time journalist. That was Paulo as a contributor. You're saying this. I'm in the middle. You know, as everybody knows, I'm humble, sophisticated, kind, good-looking.
Whoa.
James, that's what the people are saying.
Whoa.
Are you saying the people are wrong?
Yes. 1,000,000%.
All right.
I am 1,000% disagreeing with the people.
You know what? Some people say you can only have 100%. That's all of it. But James says, forget that. You can times that by 10. 100% is just a figure of your imagination.
It's true.
You can have 1,000%. All right, Jimbo. Ladies and gentlemen, we got somebody coming up after the break. If you're into things that go rum, rum, that's a Doppler effect.
Nope.
If you're into those kinds of things, they cost millions and millions of dollars to make, and they will go incredibly fast around a racetrack. Science meets art, meets fashion, meets the high life, meets that swag life, meets Red Bull are dominating right now. If you're into Formula One, hey, your favorite, my guy, coming up after this is Spike Ballantyne. This is the MKT Show. See you in a bit. Welcome back to the greatest Formula One segment you have ever experienced. I know you thought I'd go MKT Show. You're wrong. It's not about that right now. It's not about me. I'm giving, selfless, passionate. People saying, how is this fine example of the human specimen single? And I walk around and I think to myself, people are idiots. You know, I'm all of those things and more.
You're repulsive to women.
That's the problem. My problem is, you know what it is if you're going to be aggressively heterosexual and repulsive to women, that's a problem.
You got to deal with the backlash. Huh?
Now, I don't mean I'm aggressive as a heterosexual, just to be very clear. It's just that my sort of sexual biases go that way.
I'm not having this conversation.
They lean heavily that way, and that is some way to bring in a stud. You know, his beard. Now, I don't want to reveal his romantic situation, but trust me, he's happy, right? And it makes sense when you see him. The beard, regal. It's not like James's, where it's a douchebag who's going to go get a low-fat latte. Not this one. Classy. Been there. Done that. Ladies and gentlemen, let's get into some F1 talk with my guy, Spike Ballantyne. Spike, how are you today, pal?
I'm good. I think that's the most overblown intro I've ever heard in my life. Thank you so much.
I'm just speaking from the heart.
And thank you for not getting into too much detail about my situations. I appreciate it.
No, there's a respect. You know, I like with James.
There's no respect.
That's all it is, huh?
Yeah, you know, that's what it comes down to.
But you got to earn it. You know what I mean? You got to earn it. And here we are. Spike, how you doing? How was your weekend? How you feeling, bro?
Yeah, all good, man. Weekend was nice and chilled. Good racing yesterday, so I'm very happy. How are you?
Fired up. I'm feeling. You know what? This weekend was the first weekend. Obviously, as you know, I'm a COVID survivor and a hero to millions. Yeah, I mean, I don't want to get into it. I don't want to go on about it. People keep asking.
It's amazing how often you don't want to get into it, but yet you get into it.
It's, you know, people, the people are so demanding. But yeah, no, feeling good. This weekend was the first weekend, though, where I've actually felt like I'm at like a 7 or 8 out of 10. You know what I mean? I went for a massage and a tune-up and feeling great. So yeah, fired up for this week. And great to have you here, by the way.
Yeah, good to be back. Thank you.
Yeah. I mean, we gotta just get straight into it. But before we get into it, some news which came out, by the way. So obviously, round 1 of Austria in 2 weeks, because they gave us skiing. The Formula One calendar guys have said, listen, you guys are magnificent. The Alps are sensational. People like skiing. People like the Alps. You're gonna get two.
Their cows are quite spectacular as well.
Cows, huh?
Yeah,
I've never been to Austria. You been to Austria?
No, never. One of the few places in Europe I haven't been to, actually, unfortunately. I really, really want to go.
See, when I think of cowbells, because my old duck actually lived in Switzerland for a couple of years, and you know how they get into it, right? And my goodness, them and the cowbells. James, I don't know if you've been.
Oh, not the cowbells.
I mean, do me a
favor.
favor.
Not the cowbells.
But Austria, huh?
Why Austria?
I didn't know. Austrian cows. Who knew? Hey, Spike, are you currently grating a tiny little ant somewhere? It sounds like, I don't know if it's your mic or us.
It's a microphone again. Grating an ant. No.
Yeah, I thought you never know what people are up to.
Is that better?
Much
Worse?
better. This is the best.
Better.
This is the best thing that's ever happened.
Excellent.
Yeah. So some interesting stuff coming up, because obviously when we're just reading up the notes before, pit stops, new rules from Hungary going onwards. Do you maybe want to get into that before we get into what was another just awesome race? Yeah,
so very, very quickly they've said that essentially the pit stops that are happening at the moment are too quick. They're not happy that they're happening so quickly. There's two parts. This one is that there's a safety issue. They're saying that there's possibly needs to be a little bit more time spent checking the work that the mechanics do. And when they say more time, they're talking like 0.2 of a second or 0.15 of a second. That's the one part. The other part is there's a technical regulation that governs pit stops that says that none of the equipment used can be active equipment. So in other words, anything that the equipment does needs to be governed by a human operator. So, for example, things like you've seen in the pit stops, they've got lights. The drivers got lights above their heads over a little gantry. and that gives them the green light or the red light to say as soon as it turns green, they go. And there's an inkling that maybe that system is semi-automated in that the mechanics who are changing the wheels aren't actually doing anything themselves to ensure that the wheel is on properly. There's a system that they say as soon as they pull the gun away, the system recognizes there's no longer a gun on the wheel, and then it takes that as the signal that the wheel's fixed, rather than a mechanic going, okay, the wheel is fixed. So they want to cut down on that kind of thing, and that's really why they've brought about these new technical regulations. It's not a rule. It's not in the rules yet, but it is a regulation. It is something they're going to be monitoring. I don't know how they're going to be monitoring it, really. They've got high-speed cameras on all the pit stop gantries, but really, I don't see how they're going to manage to enforce that in any real way. I mean, when you're dealing with 0.2 of a second and 0.115 of a second, it's going to be incredibly tough. So I think the long and short of it is we can probably expect to see some slightly slower pit stops going forward. No more of these 2-second and sub 2-second pit stops.
Wow. And I mean, that's a big thing, right? Is you think guys work years just to be the guy that's got the drill for Hamilton's car.
Well, yes and no. They the guys in the pit lane changing wheels and cleaning visors and adjusting front wings, and in George Russell's case, filling up the pneumatic pressure through the side pod as they did yesterday. Those guys are all they all do double duty. They're all mechanics on the car. They're all engineers and mechanics working on the car already. So it's not like there's a dedicated pit crew person. Before the race, after the race, they're working on the car. During the race, they're a pit stop crew. And in fact, I think in some teams, I'm not sure if it's still this way, but I know for a long time, like the chief truck driver was the guy on the front jack occasionally.
Ah,
Wow.
how about that? Well,
There we go.
Yeah.
So become a truck driver, join a Formula One team. There we go.
Well,
And you can travel the world.
the thing is, you got to become actually a little bit of disrespect from you there, Spike. Chief truck driver is what you got to be. You can't just be a truck driver.
You can't just be a truck driver.
Yeah,
You got to start as a truck driver and work your way up.
I see.
To
Because
front jack man.
yeah, because a lot of young kids watching this might go, oh, well, when I'm 16, if you live wherever you may live, or 18, is I'm going to just deliver Coca-Colas, and then on Sundays I'm going to be jacking Hamilton's car. No, not quite how it works, just to be clear. Because you can't be too clear today. Not sure if you saw, there's a German lady who basically destroyed the whole of Tour de France because of ignorance. So you got to be absolutely sure.
Right, yeah. I mean, you can't be wearing the brown of DHL one day and the black of Mercedes the next day.
As the old saying goes. Now, let's get into it. I want to talk about Spielberg, not the great director.
Spielberg, yep.
Different person.
Jaws was a good movie.
Jaws was a good movie.
Jaws was a good movie.
Yeah, good. I like that we're all in agreement. But we're talking about the Red Bull Ring in Austria. And, hey, it's so good. It's so good to be Team Verstappen right now.
Right?
Let's just get into it. Let's get into it. Spike, I couldn't wait for today after obviously using the F1 app to catch up on the highlights, but couldn't wait for today. Talk to me. Let's start with the Red Bull.
Faultless, man. Faultless from Verstappen. I think Sergio could have had a better weekend. He was a little bit unlucky in the pit stop. He had a slight delay on one of his rear wheels, and that put him a little bit on the back foot, and it possibly cost him a P3. He was very close to Bottas, or Bottas, as Zach Brown likes to call him, at the end. And I think another half a lap he would have had him. So a little bit unlucky for Perez, but Verstappen, unbelievable. Really faultless. He was quick all weekend, and he's showing the kind of confidence, the kind of dominance that we've seen from Hamilton over the years. And he really, for me, is now fitting into that mold quite nicely. There's really not a lot of doubt coming from him at all. Not a lot of uncertainty. He just goes out there, nails it when he needs to nail it, manages it when he needs to manage it, and he did a fantastic job.
Incredible maturity. For me, I always think, winning's not an easy business, but when you start to kind of fulfill your potential, the hardest thing is to keep your feet on the ground. Incredible to see the young man's maturity.
Yeah, look, he's been at it for a few years. He's been at it for a number of seasons, and that's come with time. And we've discussed before how when he started, he was a bit rough around the edges, how he was a little bit ragged, but he's kind of tightened up now, and he really is focused now, and as you say, kind of a little bit more mature beyond his years maybe. But that's all due to the fact that he's been racing for a long time.
Spike, with me coming from the background of football, one thing I do know, as much as we all love from the outside, of course, Red Bull, and we know the crazy owner that they've got in terms of Red Bull itself as a company, is we might think it's the biggest company in the world, but ultimately it's about a $3 billion company, which obviously is an insane amount of money. But there are some legacy sort of, when I'm thinking Ferrari, Mercedes, there are these types of guys who sometimes you forget the type of deep pockets they really have, in terms of globally. Is if you were Red Bull, and this is just a question from my side, thinking from a business point of view, is would you have any concern about any poaching? Would you say that, I know we live in Formula One where you can kind of tie people down, but I think we know contracts are about as valuable as the paper they're written on. Any concerns if you're just thinking with your business hat on of, hey, if guys are seeing what Max is doing now, any concern of that sort of big fish? Lewis might be coming to an end, 1 or 2. So Lewis, Ferrari might go, hey, no, that's our guy. Triple his wages, bring him this way. Any sorts of concerns? I know that there is the spend cap coming in, and we'll do the rules and the regulations show. But any concern if you're Red Bull about him getting poached by one of these juggernaut legacy teams?
Yeah, it depends. You say juggernaut, being poached by one of the juggernaut teams. Red Bull is a juggernaut team. They have got deep pockets. So I think the one thing that Formula One has got, there is quite a lot of loyalty, particularly higher up. If you're with a team that's nurtured you and brought you forward and put you in a championship winning car, potentially, chances are you're not just going to jump ship for the sake of a bigger paycheck. You're going to stick around and you're going to repay them for the faith they've shown you by delivering on their championship hopes and their championship dreams. So I don't think at the moment there's any real concern from Red Bull's side that anyone's really going to want to poach Verstappen, because I think, I might be wrong, but I would think that from Verstappen's side, if anybody approached him, he would probably say no thanks. But as well as that, you've got to look at what the teams want for themselves. So let's say at the end of the year that Bottas retires or Hamilton retires, then does Mercedes-Benz really want to try and poach Red Bull's top driver and be seen as the team that does that? And is Verstappen going to be the kind of guy to jump ship to their to their mortal enemies, really, to their arch rivals? I don't think he'd do that, because really when you're at the top of the game, might be a couple of $1 million in it, but ultimately you want to show a bit of loyalty, you want to show a bit of backbone, and I think you want to stick with the team that's you think is going to be most likely to deliver you that championship. So I don't think so. I think as far as the top drivers go, as far as the Verstappens and the Hamiltons and even the the Leclercs and the Sainzes and the Norrises and Ricciardo, those guys I think are pretty much set in teams that they think are going to do them well, and they're going to work together towards some bigger things in years to come. Lower down the field is a different story. Then it's a much more open playing field.
So let me just tell you from what you're saying is Formula One fans and teams and everybody, thank your lucky stars, and you better be praying, if you believe in that sort of thing, that I never win $100 billion or actually, I don't know, find the molecule that, I don't know, cures cancer or whatever, because...
Oh my God, could you imagine how big your head would get if either of those things happened?
First thing I'm doing...
The universe is not big enough.
First thing I'm doing is buying Chelsea Football Club. The second thing I'm doing is I am buying like Ferrari or one of the teams. I am buying a Formula One team, and I'm bringing that sort of stuff to the storyline. I am definitely all about the transfer approach is, hey, that Verstappen guy, what do you think about timesing your income by 10? I don't care what you earn, just you. But you know what? Here's a check. You write the zeros, pal. I'll see you in Monaco next week.
Yeah, I mean, it's an interesting theory, but as we've touched on before, and we'll get into a bit more detail when we do the rules and regulations show for 2022, one of the things that Formula wants to do is stop people like you coming in and just throwing money at the problem. So that's why there is a cost cap. So you can pay Verstappen $100 million a year, but then you've probably got about $20 to develop your car. So not really the best business model in the world.
Well, no, listen, I've got obviously that account is in the Cayman Islands. That's not.
So what you're doing is you're talking about cheating. That's what you're doing.
No. You guys wouldn't get it. We call it. They say if you aren't cheating, you're not trying. All right, listen.
Okay.
Wow, really?
To a man who doesn't need to cheat or need any money, by the way. Let's move on to Mercedes AMG. The Merc guys, tough weekend, but they held in there, and I thought a really nice interview again by Lewis.
Yeah, I think he's very chilled. He's very happy. As we've said before, he's looking like he's He's really relaxed and having fun and enjoying himself, even though he's not winning at every circuit. He flat out came and said, they're not Mercedes weren't quick enough this weekend, and by the end, even without his extra pit stop, he probably would have finished 17, 18 seconds off the pace, which is a huge margin to your nearest competitor at the front. So they've got a bit of head scratching to do. I know that Toto Wolff has come out and said that they've stopped development on this year's car and they're focusing on next year's car. Just like Christian Horner, I'm a bit skeptical about that. I don't think that they've stopped entirely. I think we might see one or two little tweaks coming here and there to try and help them push forward. The interesting thing for me was there was a tiny little unforced error by Hamilton on lap 26. In turn 4, he went a little bit wide, got the back end into the dirt, and almost just managed to collect it and carry on. And it's that kind of thing that makes me think that the pressure really is, despite his very cheery post-race interviews and general demeanor all through the weekend, I think the pressure's on and he's feeling it, and he's chasing it a little bit to an extent, because we've seen a few of these little unforced errors, fairly consistently this season.
Yeah. Hey, Jimbo, what you got, Paul?
I just wanted to say, right, we had this conversation. Can the man wear proper clothes? Please.
Come on, James. Have you seen the guy's boots? I mean, they're €900 boots.
Oh,
I mean, if your boots cost you 10 grand, they're the right boots.
You may be a sir, but if you...
Here's the thing for everybody. James wears... He's got... if you live anywhere in the world, there are these women between the ages of 38 and 50, right? Who wear the two-piece suit. I don't know if you know what I'm talking about, just like the tracksuit, where the top and pants match. And they
you're talking about a tracksuit.
Yeah, but it's like there's tracksuits, and then there's the material-y one. The one where the kids have just moved out the house, and it's like her all-day uniform kind of stuff.
Yeah. Pajamas.
Yes, let's call them that. James wears that to work every day, and he has the gall to tell Sir Lewis Hamilton how to dress. I mean, what is this? But it's the Twitter generation. Everyone thinks they deserve an opinion.
At least I'm not wearing black and green gumboots.
Unbelievable.
As you said before, James, fashion is not for you.
No, it's not. It's
really
not,
guys.
It's absolutely not. The guy wears tracksuits every single day, two-piece. By the way, he is walking with middle-aged ladies now. James is quickly becoming actually a middle-aged lady. It's quite interesting to observe it.
Next, he's going to quit smoking.
I have already.
No, sir, you have. We've had that conversation.
Yes, yeah. No, he's... All right, and other than his Mazepin kind of sitch for Bottas, a good weekend.
Yeah, I think he'll come away slightly relieved. It was, as we said, really tight with Perez at the end there. Really I think a pretty harsh penalty for Bottas, as Zach Brown likes to say. If you didn't see, he had a pit lane spin during one of the free practice sessions on the weekend. They, according to Bottas, they were trying something different, and the car just got away from him, and he kind of spun in the pits, which I've never seen before, ever. Seen all kinds of things in the pit lane, never a spin. And he ended up pretty close to some of the McLaren mechanics who ended up helping him point in the right direction, and they kind of went on his way. Race control came out straight away and said that was quite dangerous. You shouldn't have done that, blah, blah, blah. Three-place grid penalty for you. So qualified second, started fifth, ended third. So I think all around he'll be happy with that. Although, like him, I do think that the penalty was a little bit harsh.
Mercedes under pressure. I think now it's becoming clear that it's not just Red Bull kind of in a purple patch. This thing seems real. You think the pressure's on, or you think they'll turn it around?
I think the pressure's on for sure. I think it's been on all season. That Red Bull have brought the fight consistently. I think the big factor is that they have a second driver now who can get into Mercedes-Benz strategy, which they didn't have certainly last season. And I think that's also playing into their hands. But Perez may not be there every race, but he's there or thereabouts, and he's a consistent potential threat. Yesterday he came close to taking that podium from Bottas. So I think the thing is that whatever changes and whatever adjustments Red Bull are making to their car as the season progresses, they're working better than Mercedes. And Mercedes have come out, as I say, and said that they've quit this year's cars development. They're focusing on next year. But I've then read an article that said they're changing They did a lot of work with Hamilton in the simulator this past week to try a setup that they called it radical. They thought it was quite interesting. They thought it might work. And they tried it out this weekend, and clearly it wasn't the answer to their problems, but they are going to look at it again and try and redress the issue and see if the changes they've made have affected the car in other ways. So we might see a slight change of fortunes next week. We might see a tighter race all the way through next week. But I think, as you say, the pressure is definitely on. Mercedes this is the first time they've lost 4 races in a row since like 2014 or something ridiculous. Wow. So it's you can't help but feel the pressure when you start not racking up the results like you used to.
Yeah. So here's something I've always wondered is, by the way, nerd guys in the back who are now stopping development for this year, why do I need to know? I almost feel as though it's kind of an excuse for them to kind of go, all right, well, if Lewis loses this season, it's not us kind of thing. Well, why are you telling us? Just tell Lewis and keep it in-house. Well, why do they come out and tell the public that?
I think they've got to manage expectations. Fans want to know. Lewis has come out and said, well, we need a bit of extra development. We need to add things to the car. We need to change things on the car. And that's what prompted Toto to come out and go, well, we've stopped development. Because Lewis was asking for some changes to the car. So I think they do it just so fans know where the team is at. And also to kind of, I suppose it's an excuse. Excuse is the wrong word, but it's to come out and say, look, we know what's happening, and this is a possible reason.
I kind of like it. It's like, hey, don't look at us. Listen, we got a business plan. Look at him. He's the driver. Yeah. I kind of like it. To be honest, it's like passive aggressive. I kind of like it.
Yeah, and also, it's a bit of an anathema to me because teams, whoever you speak to in Formula One, they're like, oh, we're here to win. We want to win. We're not interested in coming second. We want to win.
Yeah.
And then they come out and go, oh, well, you know what? We've stopped developing, so we might not win, but it's fine because, next season, which I don't really understand because it's antithetical to what Formula One is about generally. So, and again, it comes down to this thing of, do you believe it or not? Me and Christian Horner, we like this. We don't believe for a second that Mercedes have stopped developing their car. They might have slowed it down. They might be trying smaller things, but there's not a chance they're not adding a single new component to the car for the rest of the year.
I want you to know, when I do cure cancer and I get $400 billion for that, once I buy my team, none of that nonsense. Every single season, we are going for gold or going to hell. So don't you worry about that. I'm all about ethics, and I will not let this fine institution of Formula One down, Spike. Do not worry about it. Do not worry.
Remind me of this conversation when you offer me a job so I can say no.
Spike, McLaren, listen, yeah. I actually did catch some of the qualifying. And there was nothing else on. I thought I'd switch over to
I thought you wanted to catch it because GOD said the pitch was going to be wet.
Yeah, GOD let you down there. Sorry, buddy. No pitch wetting this weekend.
Yeah. Do you know what? I wasn't going to bring it up, and it was actually something I wanted to. I wanted to talk about it, but I thought I was going to stay mature because
it's a sensitive topic for you.
No, I just thought, listen, if he's not going to deliver, it's not the first time that he hasn't delivered for me because when I was like 6, I think it was the last time I prayed. Didn't deliver again.
And also, look at your life.
let me just think real quick. The atheist, God hasn't delivered for the atheist.
Yeah.
Wow.
Well, sometimes you got to give it a bash. It's kind of like this. I look at prayer. I believe people, they kind of use it like insurance. Insurance is something I hate having, but just in case. Yeah, it's one of those things I never want to use, but just in case.
Would you say that prayer is a necessary evil? I mean, we're bordering on all kinds of theological chasms here, but
I don't want to say necessary evil. I'll say prayer is nice to have, like insurance.
Okay.
It's tough to say evil, because hey, well, what if an insurance company wants to sponsor us? I'm not a moralist. I want to be very clear about that. If you want to do business with me, whether you're a church or or an insurance company, I think the bank counts your money the same. 10 rand is 10 rand. So I will do business with anybody, as I will do once I have $100 billion and own a team. But yeah, didn't water the pitch, GOD. McLaren did fine though. They were incredible in qualifying, was my point.
Yeah, they did. I think that's a good way to describe. They did fine. Norris had a stonking qualifying. He was quick, qualified fourth, but then thanks to Bottas's penalty, started third. And what I'm enjoying about Norris at the moment is it's just such good consistency there, man. He's coming through every race. He's just putting in some good performances through the season. And we talk about Verstappen being mature. This guy has been in the game for a lot fewer years than Max, but his maturity is also right up there. I mean, the fact that he doesn't get tangled up with Perez and Bottas, when the race gets underway, because he knows McLaren's race is not with those guys. So as tempting as it would be to repeat his third place from last year at that track, he was like, you know what, I'll make it easy. I'll get out of their way. I'll get on with my own race. I'll get on with McLaren's team race against Ferrari. And that, I think, shows incredible maturity. So very happy to see that. And not so much for Ricciardo, who had a shocker of a quali, didn't even get out of Q2. After France, we all thought, well, his problems are solved. He put in a solid performance, and he kind of took a step backwards. He was hampered during the race by a loss in power. He did exceptionally well to make up, I think, 4 places in the first lap or 2, and then had some mechanical issue that then had him see all those 4 places go back down again. So he made up 4 places and then very soon after lost them. So in the end, he started 13th, ended 13th. And I think it was a little bit of bad luck, but also not a great showing again from Ricciardo. Interestingly, after the race, his engineer said to him on the radio on the cooldown lap, was saying that they know what the problem is. And to quote Tom Stallard, who's Dan Ricciardo's engineer, we'll be back here next week to put it right.
Wow.
So, bullish words.
Yeah, bullish indeed. Hey, kind of his home course, right? Because, I mean, where we know him from is Red Bull.
Yeah, true. I mean, Australia, Austria, very close. But Red Bull is his kind of his entry into F1. So I think he would have thought he would have done much better there. So he'll be disappointed with that, and he'll want to make a much better showing of it next week. And
listen, make no mistake, at that level, I don't care what you're doing. It can be in banking or whatever. Once you are that level of competitive, is that there'll be something on him that's like, this one's extra disappointing because say what you will, he would have felt a certain way. Nobody wants to get divorced. He would have felt a certain way about Red Bull. No matter what the papers say, no matter how people say they split up, is that he wants to do well there and go, you know what? It's always nice if you see your ex-girlfriend and you're in better shape than her, or ex-boyfriend. Like, I don't care who you are. I don't care how good a person you think you are. You know what I mean? So that'll be doubly disappointing for him, I think.
Yeah, I think so. I mean, he undoubtedly wants to do well. He made the move to McLaren because he felt he could offer something to the team and the team could offer something to him. There's no doubt that he's a championship contender, given the right equipment and given the equipment that he's comfortable in. He is an incredibly quick driver. So for him to have made the move to McLaren, which he obviously believed was a better option than Alpine, the team that he was formerly Renault. He was only there for 2 seasons. He signed up to Renault with great promises of helping develop the team into a championship-winning outfit. But when a team like McLaren comes knocking, you don't say no. And so he jumped ship, and I would imagine that he would have expected to be way higher up the order of things and putting in much better performances than he is. But that said, I do think that he showed a lot of promise, the Dan Rick of old in France, and different tracks require different things from the driver and the car, and he's obviously still learning his way around this car, and he will get there. There's no doubt about it.
To a team now that have been more inconsistent than my love life, to be honest with you,
Wow.
Scuderia Ferrari are all over the place.
Yeah, they, man, I don't think anyone's got the answers. I don't think they have the answers. I mean, they come out to Spielberg. They have a horrendous qualifying for Sainz, qualifying 12th. Leclerc slightly better in 7th, but he's always managed to outdrive that car. And then they're like, oh, well, we're not that quick. We don't know what's going on. And in the race, they then just show this massive race pace, which I'm sure they'll be very happy about. But really, the Grand Prix weekend is about qualifying as well as you can, so you can race as well as you can. For Sainz, as I say, qualified 12th, ended up 6th. He'll be very happy with that. He found some very good pace. He did hit a bit of a buffer when he got within about 7 seconds of Norris kind of seemed to hang around that mark and wasn't able to make much more progress beyond there. But I think he had a good race, including a pass on Hamilton to unlap himself, which is not a thing you see very often in Formula One. Never mind passing Hamilton, just passing anyone to unlap yourself is an uncommon thing. So I think he would have enjoyed that immensely.
Oh, yeah.
Charles Leclerc, after the race, he said, if you take one lap off, that was one of my best performances. The one lap he's referring to, of course, is his opening lap. He says it was one of his best performances. And certainly in terms of where he started to where he ended up, he started 7th. He had a puncture on the first lap. He pitted. He was all the way back down the bottom, and he finished 7th. So he basically reclaimed his position. That was a phenomenal drive to do that. But I do think it was a bit rough around the edges. We're not used to seeing Charles making those kinds of clumsy mistakes. The first incident was caused by contact with Gasly into turn 1. I've watched the onboard a few times. I'm still not sure what happened there. I think they either got squeezed or Gasly was trying a little overcorrection and moved left, excuse me, into Charles. And then further down that section of track, Charles then clipped the back of Gasly, gave Gasly a puncture, broke his own front wing and had to pit. But then also further along in the race, he made contact with Raikkonen on lap 40. He had a lockup against when trying to pass Tsunoda on lap 54 and a lap later on lap 55. He had contact with Alonso. So it wasn't the cleanest of races, but certainly in terms of effort, you can't fault it.
I've been thinking about the Ferrari situation for a while, is that I think it's a good lesson, and I think Mercedes need to start preparing for this, but we never learn from history as human beings. We never seem to anyway, is that don't take the Schumi era for granted, is that sometimes think, he was just a great driver, is that sometimes when there's greatness, what makes them great is that they're more than just an awesome thing at their skill, at their proficiency, is that Schumi, for lack of a better term, is that he was kind of so contagious throughout, and he set the tone for the whole of Ferrari. So winning was the only option. Is that, you think of Ferrari, when they lost him, it's kind of a spiritual loss, right? And you've seen how they've been reeling as a F1 organization. The business is doing great. Don't you worry about them.
Yeah,
but
is absolutely fine.
We're talking about F1 here. As greatness is so rare that you should cherish it while it's with you. And maybe Ferrari now, as they're realizing that hey, not so easy to replace them. You can have all the money in the world, all the guys in the world. It's you've lost something great there. So for Mercedes or for Mercedes AMG, I think a good lesson is that should Lewis go, you're not just losing the driver, you're losing, quite frankly, a spiritual figure.
Yeah, I wouldn't disagree with that entirely, but I also think that what Schumacher was able to do is build a team around him, and he's famous for doing this. He ended up with a dream team of Ross Brawn, Rory Byrne, and Jean Todt, all part of the team. They were all part of those championships. And when he left, sure, there was a slight step backwards. They had Alonso signed up. He came very close 2 seasons to winning the championship for them, and he was pipped. The only other championship Ferrari have won is of course with Raikkonen in 2007. But I think it's, as much as Schumacher was something special, it was a golden age for the team. They had just all the right people in all the right places, and they had consistency. Those guys were around for a long time. So over the years, Ferrari has had a lot of change in management, not just on the Formula One side, but also the parent company as well. So there's been a little bit of turbulence on that side, and make no mistake, that stuff counts in the end. But as for their current form, I think they're just, I don't know. As I say, I don't think they've got the answers. Certainly as onlookers, we can't hope to imagine exactly what the problem is with the up and down results and how they can go from one race being terrible to one race being great to one qualifying session being terrible to having a great race the next day. It's really up and down and really quite strange. But they also, like Mercedes-Benz, apparently have stopped development on this year's car. They're focusing on next year. But they came out at the beginning of the year and said that this year is more of a holding year. They're going to focus almost entirely on next year. So, yeah, I don't know. I think they've got a lot of head scratching, and they'll take the results while they can get them. But I think they're still probably more focused on next year than this year.
Shout out Rory Byrne there, by the way. Great name drop there, by the way. Very South African guy.
Great South African man. That
his nephew was my landlord at a stage. Just a weird.
Oh wow!
Yeah,
what a claim to fame you have.
Well, you got to take what you can get. On my way to being 100 billionaire is that you got to remember the small people, and he wasn't. He certainly wasn't his uncle, but Good landlord, good guy. I think the Burn name, all South African all the time. Without him, Shumi doesn't do it, by the way. Shout out South Africa.
That's a bit of a stretch.
I like your claim to greatness via some tacit, some very tepid association. I mean, I once walked past Kimi Räikkönen at a Grand Prix, so I guess I'm also going to make $100 billion.
No,
Look
sure.
at you guys. You guys are just on your way to the top.
There we go.
Listen, affiliation or association becomes affiliation. I'm just saying.
I have one too.
I'm just saying.
I have one too. I am sitting in the Cliff Central studio, so that means I have a job.
Okay. I mean, it's a story. We're all telling stories. It's not quite Kimi Räikkönen. It's not a burn connection 4 times removed. But yeah, no. I mean, we all have stories. And James, thanks for sharing. You got to make these young people feel safe. Aston Martin's bike.
Yes.
Your thoughts on their weekend?
At the risk of repeating myself, you know what I'm about to say, right?
I do know what you're.
I know.
Lance Stroll. Lance, I cut my own hair, Stroll. The guy belongs in Formula One. Come on. I mean, he outperformed his teammates in qualifying and the race. He qualified 9th, finished 8th. He put a pass on Alonso that on the TV was shown about 3 laps later than it actually happened. He set it up 3 corners before, and he basically drove around Alonso. And to make that kind of claim is not a small one for one of the best defenders in the game. So yeah, Lance Stroll had a really good race. And when you counter that with the race that Vettel had, qualified 14th, finished 12th, his race was completely anonymous. And I was quite surprised to see when Leclerc was attacking him late on in the race, about lap 50, Vettel had a double lockup. And he said, Vettel, at the end of the race that his tyres were dead, which I was quite interested to see because, he was on the same compound as his teammate, as Stroll. And they've done the same amount of laps on that compound, and yet Stroll has managed to eke it out and managed to manage those tyres a lot better for a better result. So he basically outdrove Sebastian Vettel this weekend, and you can't really fault the guy. He's doing a stellar job at the moment.
He is, and maybe the worst haircut in the history of mankind.
Not maybe.
Well, what's he going for there? Like divorced middle-aged guy who's having to live in the second apartment because the wife got the house in the divorce. What is he going? What does that look?
The only thing I can think of is that Formula One drivers are famous for saying things like, "Oh, I don't have time for a girlfriend because I'm just focused on my championship." Maybe he's like, I don't have time for a haircut. I got to go training.
Yeah, like, hey, I'll
just do it myself. While I'm jogging, I'll just cut my own hair. It's fine. I wear a helmet most of the time anyway, so no one cares.
In his defense, his trust fund is not shrinking because of my opinion of his haircut.
No,
Also,
not.
I actually think it looks quite nice if you turn off all the lights.
True.
Yeah, as soon as you turn the TV off. And,
as soon as you change channels, it's fine.
There you go.
Yeah. I want to stress the fact that I'm well impressed with Lance Stroll. There was so much smack talk about the guy when his dad took over the team, and he's only there because blah blah blah, and they booted Perez because they couldn't boot the owner's son, and even though he's not good enough, he's good enough. He's driving phenomenally. Kudos, and he deserves all the results he's getting.
And by the way, as if it's not enough pressure that your old man owns the team, we know what expectation does to people. It's an absolute killer. Hey, guy in the other car, by the way, Sebastian Vettel, you heard of him? Like that is pressure on its own, right? There's no friends. There's no friends in there. Once those guys get in the seat, we're talking about top 1% most competitive humans to ever live. Vettel's not. He's just because things aren't going well, it doesn't mean he's not pushing everybody at all times. He will have expectations for himself. So shout out to Stroll.
Yeah, man.
Yeah, Alpine. Because I'm in love with this guy, I think I want them to do well. But how do you think they did this weekend?
Well, if it's the guy you're talking about is the same guy I'm talking about, he says they were lucky to finish up where they did. Fernando Alonso coming out and saying, "Well, you know what? Say we weren't really top 10 this weekend." He said that he had a good qualifying. He qualified 8th. He qualified 9th actually, and because of Tsunoda's penalty, he moved up to 8th. But he said that really Alpine got a big advantage from the first lap incident with Leclerc and Gasly and all those around him, and he held on to that place. He put in a good charge to try and chase down Stroll at the end, and he ended up I think within DRS range of Stroll when they crossed the line. So I think he'll be happy with the result, but he did admit that they were a little bit lucky to finish where they did.
And he's the opposite of Stroll, by the way. Great hair, always looks after it, always
fantastic.
on swag. So just
absolutely.
contrast.
He takes that helmet off, and it's just it's just this glory.
Like a mane, like a horse mane.
Yeah, exactly.
It wasn't a walk in the park. It wasn't a walk in the... It's not a pun. It's kind of almost cerebral humor.
Oh, no, it's terrible, James.
So James,
damn it.
James learned the word cerebral about 3 weeks ago, and now he won't stop using it.
His English tutor said to him, "You must use cerebral on there tomorrow."
I mean, I can't stop hearing it. Actually, that joke was the opposite of cerebral, but okay.
As for Alonso's teammate Ocon, this is another guy who I just like Ferrari. Just who knows where he's at. He's had 2 very disappointing races in a row. It's slightly better qualifying last time out. This time he qualified 17th. Both 2 races in a row he's finished 14th. And I don't know if he's feeling the pressure from Alonso having found a bit of form, but he found a little bit of improvement in his race pace compared to his quali, but still 2 weeks in a row he just hasn't brought it at all. And as we mentioned in the last show, he has signed a 3-year deal with Alpine. So they'll be a little bit miffed that this is the way he's decided to celebrate by delivering out of top 10 results for them. But he's a good driver. I do like Ocon, and I do think he'll be back as soon as they figure out what's going on with that car.
Yeah. Well, I mean, obviously things aren't going as planned, and when they go this badly, you say to yourself, "Oh, can't believe how bad they go."
I knew it was coming.
It had to. Like with a setup that long, you know it's coming.
Oh, can't believe it.
Also, that's the same pun you made last week, so that doesn't count. That's lame.
Listen, I roll out of bed with this stuff in my mind, James. Just imagine if I actually prepared for
nothing
this.
to boast about, mate.
All right, let's move on to your favorite Wunderkind and AlphaTauri.
Oh, Tsunoda.
It's the boy, dude.
Tsunoda.
He's awesome.
So, qualified 10th, got a he qualified 8th, got a 3-place grid penalty because he impeded Bottas while he was trying to do a hot lap. So he started 11th, but finished in the points, and good on him. He kept it together. He kept it clean. It was his 3rd top 10 finish. And I think maybe slowly we're starting to see this guy deliver on all his promise and all his talent. One of my favorite quotes of the weekend came from Christian Horner when he was interviewed by the Sky F1 team. They asked him about Tsunoda. I don't know why, because Tsunoda's not his driver. But anyway, Christian Horner said, "Well, he's all action," referring to Tsunoda, which I think is a good way of putting it. Tsunoda is all action.
Yeah.
Good to see him finish in the points. His teammate Pierre Gasly, oh, poor guy, terrible race. Qualified credible 6th. Ended up with a DNF. He kind of lost it in turn 1. As I say, I've watched the replays. I'm not 100% sure what happened there. If you watch the onboard, it does look like he makes a slight correction, which pushes him into Leclerc. They then battle down further down the straight. Leclerc gives him a puncture, and then he spends the rest of the lap trying to just keep that car under control. Left rear puncture, and into turn 3, obviously the car was incredibly unstable. He lost it a bit under braking. He managed to take out, or he managed to impede Giovinazzi at least, and he managed to give poor Nick.
Oh, did we?
You stay with that footage on board all the way around. You see that into turn 9, his suspension just collapses. I thought maybe he'd had coming together with someone or something had happened, but really the car the suspension just gives up, and he ends up entering the pits on 3 wheels. So really unfortunate. He thought he believed they had the pace to have a better result, and certainly his season so far suggested that he has got the potential to deliver those top 10 finishes regularly. So I'm looking forward to what he can do, and actually what the team can do next week, because with both cars in the fight, they might actually come away with a very good result.
Yeah, on that incident, I think it's when that much happens, it's tough to Tsunoda.
No, I knew it again. I knew it again.
It's tough to Tsunoda how that happened. And, you think to yourself, that's the way to transition to Alfa Romeo's weekend. That's what I think to myself.
Oh yeah, Alfa Romeo also really kind of disappointing. Raikkonen qualifying 18th, finishing 11th. He took a long strategy and finished up in 11th place, just outside the points, but I don't think they deserved anything more than that. Giovinazzi was, as I say, caught out by Pierre Gasly into turn 2. He had to wrestle his car back to the pits, he had to wrestle his car around that incident, and then admitted that he just chased too hard to get back onto the back of the pack. It burned out his tires, and he said they pitted too early. That just kind of ruined their race. As a result, he finished down in 15th place.
Haas?
It's Haas is bringing up the rear. I think Mick Schumacher showed some good pace towards the end of the race. He was lapping sort of the same pace as the midfield guys, which is impressive for Haas. One of the best stories of the weekend, though, was Mazepin, who finished 18th, qualified last, but finished 18th. Apparently, his team boss, Gunther Steiner, has taken the Mazepin thing on board totally. And he actually gave Nikita Mazepin a spinning top as a present at the beginning of the weekend.
That's awesome.
So that was actually part of social media with James. It's been engraved, right?
Right.
It says, spin it to win it.
Oh, that's awesome.
On the spinning top. And there's a video on Sky Sports F1's Instagram where Gunther says to him, spin this instead of the car. It'll cost us less money.
Wow, that's got to. I mean, on the one hand, for Nikita Mazepin to sit there and laugh at the joke, you've got to swallow a lot of pride.
Yeah.
And for Gunther Steiner to play that joke when you're playing it on the boss's son, balls all around.
Yeah,
balls.
Listen. You got to be able to. You're going to sit in a Formula One car. You got to be able to put up with the bit of pushback. And I'm sure having grown up with a rich dad, I'm sure he's taken abuse everywhere in his life. I'm pretty sure the lad's going to be just fine.
Are you saying that rich people are abusive? Is that what you're saying?
I'm saying that people resent rich people.
Oh, right.
Yeah, so if you're rich, his whole life, all he's ever heard is
Yeah.
And I don't. Listen, I forgot my Russian, but I'm pretty sure that nobody's saying, "Oh, you've worked so hard to be where you are."
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
yeah.
I'm pretty sure his DMs are a dumpster fire. So
Yeah.
pretty sure they have been.
In his defense, he has calmed down a bit. He's not making the rash mistakes he made before. He's not in the most competitive car of all, so we're probably not going to see much more from him this season. The only downside is he's still coming up short against the only guy he can really compete against, and that's his teammate.
Yeah.
And he's getting beaten all the time.
Yeah, that is a situation. I think we should all actually be supporting this team as South Africans. I just thought about it as you were talking, was that for every 4 ways oak, and just to give a bit of context to international listeners, the accent around here for double A's is like, my house, bro. Are you guys coming to my house?
Check my house,
So I think South Africans, we feel compelled, or I feel compelled a little bit like,
So what are you suggesting that, are you suggesting that every Grand Prix weekend we have a house party?
yeah, that's so, you come
No, stop!
yes,
Stop it!
yes,
Sorry, that one I couldn't.
yes, I love it, Mike, I love it.
No,
I love it.
Beautiful.
No.
Beautiful.
Let's finish off with a legacy team which is not performing up to
my
their
word.
name, and if ever a name was overshadowing performance, Williams and their shambles.
Yeah, Latifi a little bit unlucky to be hit by Gasly in that turn 3 shenanigans that compromised his race. He had to pit. That put him to the back of the field, and in a Williams, the back of the field is never a good place to be. So I feel like he was a little bit compromised. I'm not sure he would have done a whole lot during the race, but certainly would have had a race to write home about, and certainly been able to mix it up with the Haas and with the Alfa Romeo as well. George Russell, shame. I think they need to change his name from Mr. Saturday to Mr. Unlucky. Really, he had the best qualifying Williams has had in a long time. But the guy just doesn't have any luck. Last time out in France, he finished 12th on merit. He was so close to the top 10, and it was one of the rare races in Formula One where there were no DNFs. So he was racing against the full field, where on any other weekend he would have had 2 or 3 guys, possibly less, in front of him, and he would have got his points. Yesterday, or on Sunday, he just was doing exceptionally well. He was doing everything he needed to do. He qualified well. He was running in P8. According to him, he was quicker than Alonso, who he was behind but catching. And then pitted on lap 26 for a regulation pit stop. They decided to do some kind of mechanical fix, some kind of it looked like a pneumatic problem that they were trying to solve. They had a mechanic there with a big tank on his back, with a wand in the side pod, which they usually do to try and top up hydraulic pressure. They sent him out, but he was back a couple of laps later to retire. Williams haven't said what the problem is. They've just said it's a power unit issue that forced him to retire. And the guy is just so unlucky. I hope next weekend just everything goes right and he gets at least a point, because he deserves it and the team deserve it, no doubt.
Yeah. And that was the Styrian Grand Prix. That was it. That was exactly what happened. By the way, incredible flex here, I thought, on the next Grand Prix next week. Obviously, same country, but I like how they go.
Same track.
This is the Austrian Grand Prix. Incredible flex by whoever runs that version of the race. Like, okay, you guys are the curtain raiser. We're going to call our one, same country. And by the way, see you here next week. Don't even move the cameras. We're in the same place. No, don't worry about it. Stay where you are. Basically, sleep here. We camp here. But we're going to call the real ones us. You guys are the Styrian. I mean,
I think the one claim to fame that the Styrian race has is that the anthem of Styria, the region, is far better than the Austrian anthem, because I think that Styrian, I don't know if you didn't watch the race, you didn't see it, but it really sounds like it could be delivered in a really great death metal style and still sound amazing. So it's a proper anthem. I think it's got a lot more cred than the normal Austrian national anthem.
They are rigid people, from what I've heard. I mean, I worked for an Austrian guy once, and he's a good friend of mine. They are. If he epitomizes what they are, wow! People think the Swiss are squares. Boy, oh boy. Hey, that's why their country works, though. Probably everyone there has vaccines and they're living their best life. Just French,
and they've all got cows as well.
What is with the obsession of cows?
Well, he's just telling you a part of the country.
Cows.
Yeah,
cows. I don't know. There's cows. Apparently, the cows are really pretty. That's
James,
the cows are. That's not a sentence I ever thought I'd hear.
Spike, thank you for that. You know what? I like to learn. James clearly doesn't. You know what I mean?
James is clearly offended by cows.
Yeah, James. What is? What you got a problem with heifers?
Excuse me.
Did you get bitten by a cow when you were a child?
I did. He bit me on my ear.
Oh, really?
No, that was a joke.
No, well, sorry. I don't like to laugh at cow jokes, especially in 2021. I don't think cows are. Yeah, exactly. That's not something you should be laughing.
I mean, they have a hard enough time, what with being slaughtered and eaten and stuff.
Are you guys really starting beef with me?
There we go. That's the one of the day. Come on,
nailed it.
So easy.
That was pretty good.
Roll right in
that was good. I gotta admit, that was pretty good. I changed my mind. I wanted to go to the dark side in that, but that was good.
That was good, huh?
Yeah, that was very good. I like that. That's the sort of stuff.
James, you must embrace this pun thing, man. You must give it horns.
Yeah.
Yes.
All right. Before this gets out of hand, let's talk about next week. Same venue. What are we expecting next week, Spike? Any difference? Or?
No, I think there's. I'm not quite sure how big the difference will be. I mean, there's essentially a 4-day window to make any changes, and then you've got 3 practice sessions and then the race. So I think Red Bull will stick to what they did before. They'll stick to their recipe. I think that Mercedes-Benz, we kind of touched on it earlier, but they'll look at the setup they used this weekend, and according to their trackside chief, a guy called Andrew Shovlin, he's saying that there might be a simple fix. They were struggling with straight line speed. They were struggling with the rears overheating us a little bit. And he says that there might be a simple fix that'll fix both those issues. So if they can get that right, then expect Mercedes-Benz to be tighter to Red Bull, if not leading. I think McLaren, Ferrari, Aston Martin, Alpine, they need to find something in quali. Alpine, I think, need to find something a little bit more than the others. But certainly McLaren, Ferrari, Aston Martin, if they can get their qualifying right, we're in for a much closer battle right throughout the midfield between those teams, which will be good to see. And as far as McLaren and Ferrari are concerned, McLaren will be doing whatever they can to protect their third place in the constructors, and Ferrari will obviously be doing everything they can to take that third place away. And then I think the only real difference then would be Williams, who will aim for a repeat of what George Russell did on Sunday, but They'll want the race up to lap 26 and then erase everything afterwards and just let him finish the bloody race and hopefully in the points because they deserve it.
A big part of the sport is finishing. You've got to get to the end.
Yeah.
They literally have a line, actually. They have a person waving a flag. Yeah.
And a flag, yeah.
They do. So huge part. No, Spike, and we'll be back, same place. You're back with us next week, Monday, for
Indeed.
the best rapper. I mean, where are you going to hear those sorts of puns, that sort of laughter, that sort of humor, commentary on prayer? I mean, nowhere else does Formula One get an all-encompassing review like it does here with Spike Ballantyne. Spike, you're a legend. Thank you so much, my brother.
Thank you very much, gents. We'll see you next week.
All righty.
Have a good one.
Arrivederci.
Why are you starting beef with me, you say, huh?
Why are you starting beef with me, bruh?
Yeah, all right. Jimbo, shall we finish off? Do we have any questions? If not, we'll head on out.
We don't have any questions for Spike, just a couple of comments for just various things that happened today.
All right, let's take some comments and we'll finish off on that.
Umbelelo wants to know...
Give us some music there, James.
Oh, yeah, we should.
I'd like my comments with music.
Yeah.
All right.
Screw. What? Sorry. Umbelelo says, why are you always trolling James, though?
I'm not sure I'm trolling him. I'm just honest.
Sam also wants to know nothing. Sam is just saying, leave James alone, you bully.
I'm a bully.
Yeah. Well, I think you and Paolo...
I'm not sure.
That comment was left at 12:32. I think Paolo was on the show by then.
Yeah, sure. So I'm the bully.
Both of you.
Bullying
apparently.
you.
I don't know what that was about.
I've never... everybody knows I'm the most sensitive person they've ever met, and I'm too caring. That's what everyone's saying. So let's move on from that comment.
Sure.
I mean, accusing me of being a bully. Hey, James, could you imagine?
No, I cannot. How can you guys do that?
Exactly.
Umbelero says Portugal had one game plan during the whole tournament. That was the problem.
Okay, by the way, just to be clear, that Mbulelo is not me.
It is you.
So a lot of people listen to this on podcasts. I'm not commenting during the show while I'm talking.
So Umbelelo, is it... There's many ways you can say this.
Mm-hmm.
Gavin?
Yeah, I'm happy for you to take a chance. Be brave, James.
There's many ways.
Be brave. It's 2021.
We all know how good I am with names. So I've come up with 3 variants. It's either Gavin.
So you like COVID, is what you're saying?
Why?
Because you've come up with 3 variants.
Yes, exactly.
Mm.
So it's either Gavin,
Mm-hmm.
Garvin,
Mm-hmm.
or what was the other one?
Garvin.
Was
Cool.
it Garvin?
Cool.
Yeah.
I'm fine with any of those.
So yeah, that's what Umbelelo... Which one are we going to stick with?
I'm not investing in
Just from here on out, because Umbelelo Gavin does comment further on. From here on out, when I read a comment from Umbelelo, it's not MKT, the host of the show.
Sure.
It's a fan of the show.
Yeah.
Right.
You could call him MG, by the way.
MG works
That's
too.
There you
go.
an option, yeah.
So
Or
MG...
Mbulelo G, if you really want to show some respect.
I like that one.
Yeah.
So Umbelelo G says Portugal had one game plan during the whole tournament. That was the problem.
Shout out.
Umbelelo G also says they only reacted when they were 1-0 down.
That's Portugal.
Portugal. We went through Kutle's comment. Umbelelo G also says, guys, the Bologna manages fashion centers out of this world.
Yes.
It's incredible.
Yes. I know exactly. I forget what the guy's name is. Phenomenal.
It's Milojevic.
Sinisa Mihailovic.
That's the one.
Yeah.
Where's Air Jordans, huh?
Yeah, phenomenal.
The high tops.
He is phenomenal. And some player, by the way. Lazio legend and Yugoslavian absolute legend. And free kick maestro, by the way. Played centre back. Left foot hammer. Poor. Some player.
Nailed it,
and
huh?
explosive temper. One of my favorites. Sinisa Mihailovic. Go and Google him. You'll see it'll look like Bane on some of the things. So he had a mask that he eventually had to play with. Can't remember whether he cracked his eye socket or he had a Peter check.
Oh, yeah.
But he was eventually playing in a full-on Bane mask.
Hectic.
And sensational left foot,
Damn.
like you cannot imagine. Some player, or like all-time player, by the way. When I say legendary, I mean like right at the top end.
Really?
Some player. Left foot like you've diamond cutter. Set piece specialist. Like as good as anything you've ever seen.
Damn.
Left foot from the heavens. Sinisa Mikhailovic.
Kutle says, love it. That was, I saw when that comment came through, that was in response to one of my jokes that I made, and I can't remember which one.
I mean, you could claim that, and we've got to swallow that now, but let's move on.
Sounds like a you guys problem. Rika says, Max is absolutely killing it at the moment. It is so wonderful to see this guy finally in a competitive car for the first time in F1. I think his fast car came at the right time in his career. He is slowly taking the torch from Lewis like Alonso did with Schumi in 2005. However, this season is still long and anything can happen. As a Max fan, I don't want to get too carried away.
Shout out, Max.
And those are all the comments. I do have a couple of other things for social media with James, but I'll leave them for tomorrow. They're not urgent or, breaking news, really.
Sure. Tomorrow's another day,
Yeah.
I mean, you don't intend to die overnight, do you?
Probably the biggest news, Germany can't train at Wembley tonight.
Yeah, that's the revenge for 39 to 44 again, but I don't want to go over that.
Yeah,
again.
it's either that or the fact that it might rain in England tonight, which might ruin the pitch. I'm pretty sure it's one of those two. Could be the revenge thing or the rain thing.
Could be the 5-1 thing.
Could be.
England beat them
Either
5-1. I'm saying 39 to 44. Still,
Okay.
we're still because they fought them on the beaches. They fought them wherever. Yeah.
I'm gonna stick with the Sky Sports source with regards to the rain. Too much sort of movement in the studs.
So what are you saying, Churchill? Go to hell. Don't worry about you. Whatever you did.
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah.
Wasn't about that. It's actually about a football match.
Fun fact: Churchill was actually a drunk.
Well, the history books are pretty on that. What he certainly was by modern day standards, he was not shy to. What would we call it by today's language? Abusive to women. Well, what do you call it? A woman abuser. He wasn't shy to let the hands go, and that's. Hey, none of our heroes are perfect. I mean, some stuff's coming out about your good friend James in India there, Mahatma Gandhi. Some.
Oh, really?
Well, that's pretty well known. It's very much the Catholic churchy vibes with his nieces and nephews. No, that's not. I'm not brave. That's not controversial, James. It's just some of us didn't go to AFTA. We read books, and lots of people know this. By the way, the way you're shocked. So our heroes aren't perfect, is my point. I don't think,
Also, why is Mahatma Gandhi my boy all of a sudden?
I don't know. You're a pretty tranquil guy. You sort of douchebag beard. I'd imagine you're eventually going to move to Thailand and do a yoga course, and eventually you'll come back with like one of those Indian tattoos, Indian pattern tattoos, and whatever. I imagine that's where it's going to go, right?
Another fun fact: those people that are going to sort of Asian countries to do their yoga course and whatever it is and get enlightened, those people are currently being kicked out of Asian countries.
Oh, really?
Vietnam and Thailand, yeah.
So they're saying what? The yoga courses? No. Plus, I bet you don't get your money back. Get the hell out of here.
No, probably not. No.
That's awesome.
Yeah, my brother was telling me about it the other day.
What will the trust fund kids do now? Because most of them are trust fund kids who took cocaine for 2 years and they just need to get away from it, and then they kind of disguise it as a yoga trip and an enlightenment. Really, they just it's like rehab without your friends watching you.
Essentially, yeah.
For 6 months.
Yeah.
That's all it is. Oh, do you know what? My heart bleeds for the trust fund kids. What, they're gonna have to come back now and live in their dad's third apartment? Most of them are this, right? Not everybody. Some people do like the enlightenment thing, and they do actually want to help people, and yoga can be healing. But largely, the ones I know of, and maybe it's because of where I grew up and the schools we went to, James, but largely it's trust fund kids who took drugs, and now everybody must cry for me. I've gone to Thailand for 6 months. Like, do me a favor.
T's and P's.
Yeah.
To a lot of people, those trust fund kids. And
hey, also good for you for stopping drugs, by the way. Like, that's a good thing.
Not me particularly.
No. The trust fund kids we were talking about.
Yeah.
Who kind of disguise their rehab
Yes.
as a yeah. So good. Shout out on the stopping drugs thing. Positive.
Yes.
I'm not crying for you when you're flying back and you got to live in Camps Bay.
So it's kind of like T's and P's to those kids, as well as a German lady that is currently in hiding.
Yeah. No, and also listen, I grew up middle class as well, so my life was fine. I'm not saying they're bad people for having parents who give them money. I'm just saying I'm not crying for you.
Yeah, no, I'm not gonna shed it.
Yeah. What you're gonna live in Clifton? Oh, it's just so hard.
Yeah.
Also, I love this one. I don't know if you've heard this one. Like, I just have to go back to Cape Town now. like all that stuff I wanted to get away from, right? To like consumerism and all of the, like, I'm so over Cape Town people. Like,
Cape Town's just not the vibe.
that's why I just, the yoga just felt more connected to people. And that's what South Africans actually, we actually, you know what? All of us are like ships in the night. Like those people. Like, do me a favor. Do you know what I mean?
I have to go back to my life as a yoga instructor. And
although no, you won't, because you got kicked out of Thailand. Sorry, you didn't get your course. Now you're gonna have to come back and probably work at your dad's company as a line packer or whatever. You know, they often give their kids like the marketing job.
Yeah.
That's all you can do. Like,
but they only give them marketing job for like a year.
Well, you just give them something to do. You can shift them. You know, then you shift them to your brother's business in Australia.
Exactly.
And please just come home from Thailand. Stop spreading COVID. You know what I mean?
We are in a level 4 lockdown.
Speaking of which, though, I mean, I'm pretty sure we were just talking about Austria. I mean, when you got rules, you'll have vaccines. When you got vaccines, you got people. Do you think Austrians would be happy if you said they were just French kissing? Because, you know, that region of the world, they like their own thing. I wonder what Austrian kissing is like compared to French kissing. Probably very clinical. Just like kiss on the cheek, fist bump, walk away. And that's a hot under the collar moment for the Austrians.
Steamy moment.
Yeah.
So you have okay, let me get this straight.
Das was gut, yeah.
In our progressive society, we now have the French kiss, the Australian kiss, and
where's the Gambian kiss? You know? Like, when is Africa going to get on the kiss list?
Okay, so
are we saying we don't want to kiss Africans? I mean, what is going on here, people?
So the French kiss is the normal one. The Australian one is down under. Maybe the African kiss can be...
It would have to be what? Sort of Congo kiss. What's in the middle there? Chad. The Chad kiss.
The Congo kiss has a ring.
Yeah, the Congo kiss. It's like if you do the like motorboat, if you motorboat someone's belly. It's the Congo kiss. Jimbo, Monday the 28th of June. Good to have you, pal. Appreciate you. If you're with us on YouTube, please click like or dislike. Just engage with the content. Either way, you know, I'm looking for people to be honest. You know, I mean, not too honest. You know, we still need the ratings, and we'd like to get sponsors for the show so we can keep making content for you. So be honest, but not too honest. Think of me like the girlfriend who's asking, "Do I look fat in these jeans?" For whatever the answer is to that, translate that sort of energy into pushing like or dislike and engaging with this content. This content is called the MKT Show. Jimbo, good stuff today. I'll see you tomorrow.
Good stuff.
Ladies and gentlemen, my name MKT. This is the MKT Show. But for now, we are the hell out of here.